Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico's here.
Hey, good morning.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics, some of them even super. And then in the second part, that was horrible, I'm sorry. And then we're going to go on to the second part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question or topic you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and jump on down into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And the good news is, even though you can fire in questions now, we'll answer them at the last part of the show. The tip link is actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, or if you're watching this show a little bit later on in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question or a topic, and we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. Well, today is game day.
Game day!
For a couple of reasons. Number one, later this afternoon, going to go see a double feature of Sonic 3 and Mufasa. Looking forward to that. But of course, today was the day that the Superman trailer dropped. We will get around to that a little bit later. But we do have a couple of other topics that we got to touch on first that I think are pretty good. So let's get things started with this. Of course, you know, one of the movies that are coming out that's part of a huge, massive billion-dollar IP is the new Jurassic World Rebirth. That's coming with Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, who ironically is not Blade, right? He's not Blade in this movie.
Nope.
He's too busy fighting dinosaurs. Can't be Blade. Got no time for Blade. So we've known that it's been coming, but now we've got a few interesting bits of information here, including the director kind of teasing that they're looking at this as a trilogy, and some new photos have been released from the movie. Let's take a look at this. This comes to us from the guys over at Comic Book Movie who wrote, and this is Gareth Edwards, the director, saying, I can't speak for Universal, but it did feel like a new trilogy in a way, the filmmaker revealed. I'm not sure what their plans are. He absolutely knows what their plans are. I'm not sure what their plans are, but it felt like the beginning of a brand new chapter in this franchise. To me, it's a giant love letter to Steven Spielberg and his earlier films. There are moments in this movie that remind me very much of Jaws. It's like little greatest hits of all those aspects of his films, Steven Spielberg's, that I loved growing up as a child. It's essentially a little adventure odyssey across this island, a survival story, really. Okay, so one of the things that we already know about this movie is that it's 5 years after the events of the last Jurassic World movie. And dinosaurs are now dying off because humanity has basically made the planet inhospitable to their species. And most dinosaurs have kind of now gone to this like island along the equator. I guess it's because it's the most habitable for them. But a pharmaceutical company sends Scarlett into the island where the dinosaurs are because they want her to extract DNA that they think can make some life-saving cures. But when an SOS signal comes in from a family on a nearby boat, things go wrong. And now it becomes one big kind of survival story. So classic Jurassic Park isms, right? Well, now we've got to look at a few more images, and we can take a look at them here. Most of them feature Scarlett Johansson. The one down, of course, she's got some kind of briefcase. I'm assuming that's the DNA. That's probably the suitcase that she's standing there with Rupert Friend at the same time. We got Mahershala Ali down in the bottom part of the corner. Picture that looks pretty good. So, oh, that wasn't Jurassic World at all.
Oh, they come in later in the movie.
Oh, yeah. The ISB from the Empire comes in later.
There.
So, listen, I like a number of the Jurassic World movies. Was not a big fan of the last one, but that movie still made over $1 billion, right? This sounds like they're going to kind of go back to the basics of what made Jurassic Park kind of fun. Mm-hmm. A survival adventure film on an isolated island, people in trouble. It's kind of like the zombie movie formula. It's the same thing, but you can do it better or you can do it worse. Hopefully this will be one of the better ones. And I'm really excited. I mean, the fact that Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson signed up for it tells me they got to have a pretty good vision for it.
And I do like the fact that he mentioned there's a lot of Jaws moments. I mean, that's something that was kind of missing from the past couple of. I mean, it was there, but only in spots.
Right.
Like because they leaned in on the Chris Pratt with Blue, that relationship, and how Blue
With
became
Blue,
sort of-
Bluey?
Yeah, Blue.
Bluey was in the movie?
I think her name was Blue, right?
Oh, the red-
Yes,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
Right,
sure.
right. So they leaned into like the, a
Yeah.
pet, like, just like a loyal follower or like that relationship. And I kind of miss the scary moments of the first Jurassic.
Right.
Park.
Because, I mean, one of the things Jurassic Park 1 did that none of the other ones really captured well, because again, I think a couple of the other Jurassic Park films or Jurassic World films were pretty good, but they never horrified you the way, like, the first Jurassic Park movie was absolutely fun, but it also had moments that terrified you.
Like tension.
Yeah,
Horror
and-
adventure.
missing
Yeah,
tension.
and I never really got that. Even in
Right.
some of the better Jurassic World movies, I never got that. So
And-
if they can get back to that, that'll be a step in
what
the
a-
right direction.
And what a perfect setting to put that in jungle
Yeah.
where like dinosaurs
Well, back
could
to
hide.
the island.
Right.
Back to the island. So, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, the director's saying, well, I don't know what Universal's plans are. He clearly knows what they are, and he's teasing that this is going to be a new trilogy. At least that's what they're aiming for if the first one's successful. But Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson signed up for a reason. I like the sounds of it. I like the way it's being described. The pictures look good. Now I just want to see dinosaurs. So let's see how those turn out. Anyway, guys, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of things that I am absolutely freaking excited about, it's Andor Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
With all the disappointment that we've gotten from Star Wars television on Disney Plus, one of the very rare exceptions to that was Andor. I still contend Season 1 of Andor is the single best thing called Star Wars that's ever been made since Return of the Jedi. I mean, obviously, the original trilogy will always be the king. But after that, out of everything Star Wars has been made, nothing comes close to how good Andor is. And I cannot wait for Season 2. Well, anyway, they've been releasing images of Season 2. And the good folks over at Star Wars Newsnet have dropped a couple of them here. Here we see, of course, that iconic kind of style, the lines, Mon Mothma, who was so good in Season 1. There's also been more release. Here we got a little bit of a picture of Andor himself. This is kind of a behind-the-scenes kind of look. More conversations going on. This is Bix and Andor. I love Bix. I plan all the stuff that happened to her in the Season 1. It's going to be interesting to see how they rebound. But there were other pictures, too, that had been released that I've not seen before. Luthen and Mon Mothma.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen that picture before with stormtroopers in the background. I think that's pretty cool. Of course, we've had this Deidre picture has been floating around for a while. I loved her character in Season 1, so it's going to be great to see her back. But a couple of these other ones I've not seen before. But again, my favorite character is Luthen. Like, by far. And that little monologue he gave in Season 1.
Yeah.
I burned my life for a sunrise I know I'll never see. And I might not have a word for word right, but that single monologue is one of the best moments on television that year. I just thought that monologue should have won him an Emmy, to be honest with you. And of course, Andor Season 1 did get nominated for a lot of Emmys. So, like, here's the question though. With Andor Season 1 being as good as it was, how hard is it going to be for them in Season 2 to match that or exceed it? Because one of the problems with coming out so strong, go back to that great TV series Heroes, right? Season 1, I still think is my favorite single season of television ever. Season 1 of Heroes. It's not my favorite show ever, but favorite single season. It only went downhill after that.
Yeah.
And now granted, there was the writer's strikes at that time, and there's a lot of other extenuating circumstances. I understand that. But with Andor Season 1 being so good, by the way, a Star Wars TV show got nominated for Best Drama Series at the Emmys. Like, how crazy is that? Can they match that? Will some of the reveals disappoint people? Can the tension ramp it up? I mean, I don't know. I certainly hope they can do it because, again, it's my favorite thing with the Star Wars label on it since the original trilogy. So here's hoping they can carry it over the finish line.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting that this is different timelines. So we're going to get these time jumps. And I think that's going to ramp up the tension, ramp up the action because of that. because we're getting closer and closer to the culmination of then Rogue One.
Well, remember, this season is going to be broken into,
Mhm.
I think it's 3 separate.
3, yeah.
It's either 3 or 4, but I think it's 3. Where like 3 episodes are going to be 1 year.
Yeah.
And then they're going to jump forward to another set of 3 episodes. It's going to be another year or something like that. So they're kind of breaking it up into different time frames.
I think it will be interesting to see that progression of the Empire and the rebellion
Yeah.
building. Yeah.
And then it's supposed to end right where Rogue One begins.
Right.
Was there anything from the first season that you thought was missing? Like any aspect, any tone things? Like you, or did you consider it like a perfect?
You know what?
Season.
If I could have added, it's a good question. If I could have added one thing, I think to make it even better than it was, a little bit more space combat. I think I mean, look, there's that one scene where Luthen and
With
his
Luthen,
ship
yeah.
is taking on that Imperial capital class ship.
Yep.
And that was great. I think and I don't think they should have had a spaceship fight every 2 episodes.
Yeah, but just to keep,
But maybe 1 or 2 more set pieces in space. I think I could have taken that. I think kind of would have been nice. But
to just remind people that this is Star Wars.
yeah, it's indeed Star Wars.
Because
right?
it does get deep into the drama where sometimes you may
Yeah.
forget. You may get lost.
But overall, still, I thought the season was fantastic. And let's see where they go with season 2. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We're getting closer and closer finally to Andor season 2. They're releasing new images for it. What do you think about them? How do you think they'll do? Do you think they're going to be able to match season 1? Do you think they're going to start going downhill? Do you think they'll make it even better? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about a couple things, including Eddie Redmayne has just confirmed that the Jackal season 2 is happening and he is returning for the Jackal season 2. We'll talk about that. And what was there? What else was there?
I think that's it. You guys are going to go
that's
see.
it, right?
Yeah,
Oh, right. And then there's a Superman trailer.
oh, this guy up here.
Yeah. Look up. There's a Superman trailer we're going to talk about as well. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Our friends, I'm wearing them right now, at The Perfect Jean. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Jean. All right, let's get real for a second. Khakis, stiff, uncomfortable, and a crime against humanity. That's why I am obsessed with The Perfect Jean. I'm wearing them right now, and let me tell you, they've changed the game. They have full stretch, no resistance, whether I'm sitting for hours, indulging in holiday feasts, or running errands, these jeans move with me. And the best part, I don't feel like I'm in a denim prison. They're stretchy, soft, and crazy comfortable. And these aren't just comfy lounge pants. They look sharp enough for dinner parties and family photos, and with 6 fits, waist sizes up to 50, and lengths up to 38, the Perfect Jean fits everyone. From short kings to tall legends, over 5,000 combinations to get your perfect fit. So what are you waiting for? Stop crushing your balls in stiff, boring jeans. Head to theperfectjean.nyc and use the code Campea15 for 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, returns, and exchanges. That's right, risk-free, folks. Once again, that's theperfectjean.nyc, code Campea15. F your khakis and upgrade to the Perfect Jean. Trust me, your legs and everything else will thank you. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Jean for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. You didn't hear it, but when we were at ad break, Ray was going, thank our sponsor. I'm wearing them right now. Trojan condoms.
Sorry.
And I will spit out my drink. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, other than having the dumbest name in streaming history, the Peacock Network is actually a pretty good little streaming service, to be honest with you. Like, it's still my go-to for obviously watching like The Office and Parks and Rec and a bunch of other things that I like to watch. But they had this original come on called Day of the Jackal with Academy Award winner Eddie Redmayne and Lashana Lynch. And it looked good to me. And I really like Eddie Redmayne. And I like the basic story of the Jackal, Day of the Jackal. But I never got around to watching it. And then I had a whole bunch of our viewers writing in and tell me, oh, gee, you got to watch this. It's really good. So I finally started watching it maybe 2 weeks ago, and I blew through all the episodes right up until the finale. The finale hadn't come out yet. And then just this past week, I watched the finale. Guys, the show's fantastic. I'm not saying it's as good as like Shogun or House of the Dragon or stuff like that, but it's a terrific show. A really, really terrific show. And it had one of the best endings. An ending that totally caught me off guard, totally shocked me, totally surprised me. And I remember thinking, man, I don't know how many people watch this, but I hope they get a season 2. Well, it's now official. Season 2 is coming. As Variety is reporting, Eddie Redmayne to return for the Day of the Jackal Season 2. It says this: Eddie Redmayne has confirmed he is returning for Day of the Jackal Season 2. The series in which Redmayne plays mysterious mercenary the Jackal was renewed last month. For fans who haven't seen the Sky and Peacock adaptation of the 1972 book and 1973 feature film starring Edward Fox as a cold-blooded assassin, the Jackal, the news is going to be confusing. I won't spoil anything, but I get why that is the case. Anyway, it goes on. Eddie Redmayne is quoted as saying, "If there's one thing that the Jackal can't stand, it's a loose end. So we will see you soon for season 2, Redmayne told fans in a video message on Instagram. But that's like one of the things in the show. The Jackal does not abide loose ends.
That's why he needs the perfect gene.
That's why he needs the perfect gene and Trojan condoms. No loose ends.
No loose ends. Very. Hopefully.
No more loose ends.
Hopefully, there's no loose ends on that.
So he's coming back. And I honestly, I could not be happier about it. I'm so excited for it. And listen, what else has Peacock had? I know. I know it's just such a stupid name for their
It's
streaming
just a-
service.
I mean, I got excited about the Continental, but I mean, it wasn't like it didn't turn out.
Yeah, I didn't mind the Continental.
Yeah.
But you're right, it wasn't great. What
I've always-
else have they had on there? Like a big original
Yeah.
series? Like not much.
Not at this level of quality.
Yeah, not like this. This was a marquee statement, I think, for them. And if
Yeah.
they can start putting out stuff like this on this level of quality, and it feels very grand in scope. Cord Cutter's pointing out Poker Face. That's another one that went over really, really well.
Oh, I
Poker
forgot
Face.
that was Peacock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think if there is a loose end, do you think you could still jackal the peacock? I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, let's go.
Time to jackal the peacock. Anyway,
Sorry.
I think the show is terrific. And some people are saying, oh, Yellowstone. Guys, that's not Peacock. Some people are saying Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is not Peacock. So anyway,
They
but
only
good
have
try.
Twisted Metal,
Oh, yeah, Twisted Metal.
which I kind of enjoyed every other episode.
I never got around to watching Twisted Metal, but I've actually had some people tell me, you know what, it's not great, but it's good.
Yeah,
It's no Fallout. That's for sure.
Continental.
Right. Now, Fallout was amazing.
Yeah.
Continental as well was.
Continental
on
was okay. I didn't mind Continental. I was kind of hoping that would be better.
Yeah.
But if this can be like a jumping point for Peacock, like with what they do with their original series, I mean, it would be pretty damn good if they could do that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you watched The Day of the Jackal, the new series with Eddie Redmayne, Lashana Lynch? If so, what did you think about it? I think it's absolutely fantastic. How did you guys feel about it? Whatever you think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this, shall we? The brand new Superman trailer has dropped, and it's utter perfection. I couldn't believe it. I watched this trailer this morning, and it was with a lot of trepidation because quite frankly, you guys who watch the show know there have been a lot of movies this year that I've been really excited about. And then the first trailer comes out and I go, nah, it's happened more times than than I'm comfortable with. And so I was very excited about the trailer, but also kind of nervous. Now, last night I did an open mic in which I said, the topic of last night's open mic was, what things can we expect? And I said a couple of things. I said, here's what I'm expecting. Number one, it's a first trailer, so don't expect anything about the movie really to be given away. Don't expect that. I also said, number two, don't expect there to be any dialogue. Or if at most, like one line from Superman, maybe one line from Lois, maybe one line from Lex. But I said, basically, don't expect any dialogue. I said, number three, because of what happened with Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, one of the big criticisms of that movie is Superman doesn't even have a fight in that movie. The only action sequence is a Superman lifting a plane and lifting a mountain. That's it. So I said, in response to that, I bet you anything, we're at least going to get a quick glimpse of a fight in this trailer. And then I said, thirdly, with the fact that James Gunn has been really emphasizing that the world that this Superman movie takes place in, I said, I bet you anything we're going to get a very, very quick shot of Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. All of those things happened.
Yep.
So a bunch of things that I was expecting, and yet the trailer still shocked me. It shocked me. And the trailer starts off like with this shot.
Mm-hmm.
Superman beaten and bloodied, right? And I think this is brilliant because whenever we have talked about the hardships, the difficulties, the obstacles of making any Superman story is the fact that he's basically a god, right? He's impenetrable, he's invulnerable, he's all this kind of stuff. And that's always made it very difficult to tell really good Superman stories on the screen. And for them to understand that, and then to just start this trailer with Superman's body crashing down into the snow and the breathing like that, the touch of his breathing was like, this guy's had the crap kick out of him. And then the close up and he spits out blood and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was understanding the big barrier to telling great Superman stories is that, well, nothing can touch him. To start off with the fact that he's just gone 10 rounds and he's laying beaten and bloodied in the snow. I thought that made that a brilliant way to start this trailer. One of the other things they did in starting out this trailer was giving us him as Clark.
That's a good shot.
And look at that hair. Now, if you're like me, you look at that hair and say, that's ridiculous. But it's genius.
That's kind of like the new kids look, right? Where they have the broccoli in the front.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little play on that, but I've heard too many people like, oh, I don't know, they're trying to make it. No, it's perfect. It adds to the disguise.
Here's why it's perfect. Because one of the things we all mock Superman about, always, me included as a huge Superman fan, is like, I'll go see if I can find your friend Clark Kent. Oh, there's Clark.
Who the hell are you?
Where did you come
Hey,
from? Right?
John was here.
Always just been the glasses, right?
Yeah.
I honestly thought when I look at him like this,
It looks like a different person.
he doesn't look like Superman.
Yeah.
And his mannerisms too throughout the short scenes that we see. He's like just bumbling around and just looking like goofy. I really like that part.
But like again, you look at this image, and it's like I don't see Superman.
No.
Like even with Henry Cavill, of course, I got Henry right here. Henry is my all-time favorite Superman. But even Henry, right? It was just Superman with glasses on. Christopher Reeve, it was just Superman with glasses on. They actually make him look different. And
I know.
I
Different
kinda like
hairstyle
that.
altogether. I mean, Christopher Reeve still had the slick black hair. He just didn't have the curl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
but it was still pretty much the same, right? I love the fact that we get this kind of look at the Daily Planet.
Right.
I'm going to bet you anything the Daily Planet is now also like a full online.
Probably.
I think they probably still do physical newspapers. We get our first shot of Jimmy Olsen sitting in there, which is great. So I just love the fact that it started with him beaten. That they actually take some steps to try to actually make him somehow look a little bit different
yeah.
than Superman does.
I think the way they execute Clark Kent is important to the
Absolutely.
the impact of Superman's, persona. And
Then we get a shot of the Kent farm, which I like. I love the
there you
fact
go.
that we're getting Jonathan Kent. We're getting Pa Kent. Now, of course, in the traditional telling of the Superman lore, not in all the backgrounds, but in the traditional sense, by the time he's Superman and everything, Pa Kent has died and is gone. Does Ma Kent die instead? I mean, we don't see any shots of Ma Kent, or maybe they're just struggling or lamenting or be sad over something else.
He
Or
looks
maybe this is
stressed
a
out.
flashback.
He's very stressed out there, and I like that because like some of the Clark Kents we got, they've been looking like they have had a great life.
Yeah, I mean, again, this could be a flashback and all that kind of stuff. I love the fact we got Pruitt Taylor playing him. I think that's great because he looks like traditionally Pa Kent, whether it was You know, who played him in Smallville? Was that John Schneider?
It was
Yeah,
John,
it was John Schneider, right?
right.
John Schneider in Smallville, or Kevin Costner, or whatever. Like this really GQ, good looking,
The
whatever.
cowboy.
I like that they got a Pa Kent who looks like a farmer.
Exactly.
And a guy who's lived on the farm his whole life. I love that they kind of done that with him. So I think that's great. And then,
Oh boy.
okay.
Spits out blood.
Okay. Let me say this. When they first announced that Crypto the frickin' dog, and I'm a dog guy, I love dogs, don't get me wrong. But when they announced that Crypto the dog, if you guys watched the episode when we talked about that, I'm like, look, I've got all the faith in the world in James Gunn, but really? We're going to do Crypto? I mean, it looks pretty cool. That shot of the two of them sitting on the moon together, that looked cool. Yeah, but I'm like, we're doing Crypto the dog? Really? And I'm going to admit to you that after that show, when we first talked about it, I'm like kind of iffy on Crypto. I really started to hate it. I hated the idea that they were bringing in Crypto. And then this shot happens. And he's laying in the dust, in the snow, and he starts to whistle. And you know right away, oh, he's calling Crypto. And then, like sandworms on Arrakis, coming down, you see just this it's snow, it's not smoke, but this like intonating that there's something powerful coming, right? He whistles and you see the snow blowing up in the air. It's something like a freight train is coming down through the snow. And then he gets there.
You see the little silhouette kind of with the cape flying, and it's like, oh my God. Look, you know, one of the problems I've always had with Superman is like there's nothing to relate to, right? I think Clark Kent, like what he goes through, you can relate to. But this is a great way of getting me to get on board with Superman with a dog.
I was sitting here as Ray watching for the first time, and as soon as he whistled and you saw the, oh my God, is that Crypto? And then this little face. Fuck it, I'm on board. I don't care what I said before. I know I hated on it. I know I talk crap on the idea of Crypto being there. I am so on board with this now. When he shows up, first of all, just like coming like a freight train through snow, and the whistle, and he comes on down, and then he's like, home, take me home. And Crypto takes his the cape, right? So you get a bit of it here. Well, I want to go backwards here, but he takes the cape and he's pulling him through the snow like a faithful companion and takes Superman back. I'm guessing to the Fortress of Solitude.
And let's face it, like Clark is an alien, right? So he's an alien in a world. It's great that he could depend on one thing, and that's a dog, a man's best friend.
Yep. Even Superman's best friend.
Yeah.
And then we get this great shot. Now, listen, I was telling Jonathan beforehand that I think there's a lot of this trailer that is actually James Gunn responding to a bunch of the criticism that previous Superman stories, including Henry Cavill's and Brandon Routh's and whatever, like that whole thing about him starting beaten in the snow. It's kind of a response to the criticism that, Superman's like untouchable, blah, blah, right? I also think that one of the criticisms that, you know, Zack Snyder, and Man of Steel is my all-time favorite Superman movie, but some of the criticism that I thought was unfair and unfounded, but that Zack Snyder's thing got was like, Superman didn't focus enough on saving people. So what do? They put in this shot where, like, first of all, that's a giant kaiju foot. Look at the size of the kaiju foot behind him. And I love this. Superman, just a simple thing. Even with the world, it's like he saves this little girl. I thought the shot looked awesome. Even the way his hair is flying in.
Yeah, perfect way to use slow-mo.
Oh, yeah, and a great way to use
Don't
slow-mo.
overdo it.
And then, see if I get a touch of this. But this is great shot here where you see Lex,
he zooms by
as Superman is flying by. Let me back this up. You can see Superman now flying by in the picture, and then Lex just turning around all pissed off.
I didn't notice him fly by until the fourth time I watched the trailer.
Oh, right.
Because I just thought it was just an introduction. He turned around because he's just an asshole boss. But then I noticed Superman fly by, and I was like, oh, okay.
And then, of course, we got this great shot. Look, I was sold on day one that he was going to be a great Lex Luthor. And after seeing this trailer, I have absolutely no doubt. I love that Dirty Harry revolver he's got there, which I don't know if it's a kryptonite bullet or if he's just testing it out on Superman. I don't know. Then this thing of Superman. I mean, I'm sure in the movie they're going to explain that this glass cage that he's in is probably, this is reinforced whatever a mum that not even tank fire can get through. But like the shot of then Superman like punching through it. And then the shot that a lot of people are talking about, that a lot of people online are talking about, oh my God, I cried at this, is when the little boy puts up the Superman flag and just like, Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And like so many people about this symbol of hope. That's the thing a lot of people have complained about previous iterations, right? It's like Superman needs to be a thing of hope, and they do that. Now, I think everything in this trailer is all from Act 1 of the movie. I think everything we see in this trailer is from Act 1. And I think it's all ties into I think they're telling a story here, right? So for instance, this shot where, first of all, we hear people in the trailer chanting, Superman, Superman, right? But there's a shot here where people are clearly very angry at him, right? And he even goes into this building upset. By the way, I don't know how many people caught that. See the logo behind him?
Stag.
Stag? In the comics, Metamorpho, who we will see in a second, Metamorpho's main antagonist is Simon Stagg of Stagg Industries. So I just thought that was a cool little Easter egg thing they had in there of with the Stag thing. But better than that is seeing Nathan Fillion and Guy Gardner come in and put up the curtains so people don't see him. Mr. Terrific was in that shot as well. If I go back just a little bit, you see Mr. Terrific standing behind Guy Gardner. And then a lot of people got very excited. That hot girl then pops up in it. We get a more proper shot of Mr. Terrific here in a second. Let me see if I can get to it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, then there's the kaiju.
Yeah.
Superman fighting the kaiju.
What?
Now, here, let me say this because this is important. The reason I think all this happens in Act 1, and I think all this is tied together, is because I think early in the film, Superman and his buddies, Mr. Terrific, by the way, there's a good shot of Mr. Terrific there. Mr. Terrific and them are fighting them. We also see then that giant kaiju foot come down. He's got to save the little girl. And then there's this shot. I don't know if I can find it here.
It's right at the end.
With the buildings falling over. Is it right at the end?
It's right before that shot where they go out.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a shot where there's like these city buildings are falling over.
Right.
I can't find it right now.
Yeah, you'd have to play it and then it'll play it, but yeah.
Here's my theory, and it's just a theory. Remember how I said I think a lot of this trailer is in response to previous criticisms that other iterations of Superman have got? I think Superman and his heroic friends are fighting that giant kaiju in the city, and I think it causes a lot of damage, including those buildings falling over like dominoes. And then you see him he goes in the Stag building, he's dirtied, he's been in a battle, he's upset, people are angry at him, and like one guy even throws a can at his head. I think this is a direct response to the criticism that Zack Snyder's Man of Steel got when Superman was saving the world, but in the process of saving the world, there was some damage in the city. And a lot of people said, Superman shouldn't have let any damage happen, which I always thought was one of the most idiotic criticisms.
That was dumb. But he did destroy most of Metropolis.
He's trying to save humanity the best he can. Anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think this is kind of like James Gunn responding to that a little bit by saying, hey, listen, they had to fight a giant monster. How are you going to fight a giant monster in a city without there being damage?
Right.
But I think, and again, this is just a theory, I could be way wrong. I think a result of all the damage, I think that leads to the shot we see of Superman getting arrested. Like, pull up that. Remember there was that photo that came out from the set where there's a bunch of soldiers. You got Ultraman there, and and Rick Flag Sr. is there as well. Like arresting Superman,
there,
and all the people are super angry at him. I think that's like in Act 1 of the film where people got upset that, hey, they hold Superman responsible, even though he just saved everybody. They hold him responsible for the fact there was some of this damage and stuff like that, and some buildings fell, and probably there was loss of life and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Did you notice the trajectory of Hawkgirl, her appearance? She's like coming down from something.
She's coming from the sky.
Yeah, but do you think there's like the Watchtower, the Justice League Watchtower?
No, I think it's just a classic superhero shot of her coming down from the sky and
Maybe
all
I'm
this
just
kind
looking
of
too
stuff.
much into it. So
By the way, there's something else interesting here. There's a shot a little bit later where Superman's fighting somebody in the Chicago baseball stadium, right? A lot of people were saying they think that's Mr. Terrific. It's not Mr. Terrific.
No.
I could see why you'd think, because the coloring's a little bit the same.
That suits the exact as the one we just had up.
It's Ultraman.
Yeah.
Right? So we see him there because we saw him in the shot where he's arresting Superman.
Yeah.
That's not Mr. Terrific.
That's this guy right here.
Yeah. So he busts through and then he's fighting Superman in the baseball stadium. So that's not Mr. Terrific. I've seen a lot of people online saying, "Oh, I wonder why he's fighting Mr. Terrific." He's not fighting Mr. Terrific. So let's get that out of the way. By the way, then there was a shot, and I'm going to see if I can find it. I can't remember where it is. Do you have the shot of the face that Ray thought was
Martian Manhunter?
that thought was Martian Manhunter? 'Cause I can't find it.
You know what? I didn't grab that one. It's right when he's looking up. It's
Yeah,
it's
see if you
such
can find it and bring it up.
All
But
right.
there's a shot of a guy with a face like that's kind of deformed and stuff like that. And people were like, "Oh, is that Martian Manhunter?
Or Brainiac.
Oh, is that Brainiac?" It's not. It's Metamorpho, being played by Anthony Carrigan, who of course has already been in the DC universe a little bit because Anthony Carrigan played Victor Zsasz in the Fox TV series Gotham. So he's kind of experienced in there. And by the way, he's been nominated for Emmys for his work in Barry. How great is he in Barry? He's so good in Barry. So with the little Stag Industries reference that we had before, and then we get that face. So that's the face of.
Oh,
do you
so
got there?
I'm just gonna do it this way.
Sure, just bring him up. But that's
yeah.
the face of Metamorpho.
Oh, look at that, perfectly filtered in there.
Yeah. So and how they do Metamorpho physically and how he's going to look was going to be very tricky, because even the comic book designers have talked a lot about how tricky it was to come up with the design, like a guy who's not really flesh anymore, he's something else. So I thought that was pretty good.
You know what I find great is a lot of these characters, since I'm not really into the Superman lore, are new to me. So I'm hoping there's some sort of introduction for me, at least throughout this movie, to know what they're about. And I believe in James Gunn. I believe his story writing and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I really unless you want to touch on the structure of the.
By the way, this is the shot. Of the
Yeah,
buildings,
there you
like,
go.
falling
Oh, and
over
it's more
like
than one
dominoes.
building. See,
Yeah,
I only
it's
thought it
like
was
falling
one.
like dominoes.
Yeah, it's a few of them.
So
Yeah.
what were you saying?
Oh, so I don't know if you were going to touch on the structure of the thing, but of the trailer, but I really appreciated that. Well, the first thing we see is him crashing down, yes, of course, and then that shows his like kind of like his vulnerability. But we flash to people that are in his personal life. So he's thinking about the people that he loves and that he works with and that are in his personal life. And then when he gets dragged off by Crypto, then the next things we see are the things in his exterior life. The other heroes, the villains he has to deal with,
Right.
the politics of the world, geopolitics. I just loved how it structured the personal level and then who he has to deal with as Superman. And I really feel like because the only words spoken in this trailer were home, take me home, I really feel like that was them telling us we're bringing you, the audience, home. You know, you're beaten up from this DCEU, and we're bringing you guys home. I know it's metaphorical, but they also think these ways when they're editing these things. I really think that's James Gunn saying, I'm bringing you guys, the audience, home with me. And then you hear the whistle, and actually that whistle you hear 3 times.
Yep, throughout the trailer.
In the thing, and that's them beckoning us home.
Now, I've seen some criticisms even before the trailer came out about the movie itself. It's like, it's supposed to be a Superman movie. Why are all these other heroes in it? Every movie has a cast of background characters. Every movie. They just don't happen to be characters whose names you recognize. I said to somebody in the live chat today before the show started, it's like, there shouldn't be other heroes in this. This should be Superman movie. I'm like, saying there shouldn't be other heroes in this Superman movie is like saying we shouldn't see any other police officers in a Beverly Hills Cop movie. I said, that makes no sense because other cops are in Axel Foley's world. And in this Superman world, other heroes exist in Superman's world.
And
For them not to at least appear, like, listen, I have no doubt this movie is not going to be about Hawkgirl. The movie is not going to be about Guy Gardner.
No.
The movie is not going to be about Mr. Terrific. This is going to be Superman's movie, but it would be understanding that James Gunn has created a world where superheroes already exist.
Right.
It would be ridiculous not to have some of them present
Right.
in some way, shape, or form.
I actually believe it will make Superman stand out, and this is why. Because we are entering a universe where these other alien species and villains and heroes, they all exist already, and the world is a cynical place. And what do you need? You need a Superman to bring hope and light to a world that is full of cynicism. And that's why Superman is going to stand out above and beyond this world of other heroes. And I think that's why. I don't think he's going to get lost in that world. I think he's going to stand out as a beacon.
Yeah, it's going to be completely his movie still and all that kind of stuff. Now, look, let's be very, very clear. I don't know if the movie's going to be good or not. This is just a trailer. We have seen lots and lots and lots of great trailers that ended up being trash movies. We've also seen trash trailers end up being great movies, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, this automatically means this movie's going to be great. If you still have doubts about this movie, I think that's perfectly understandable.
Sure, you can not like it.
I think it's perfectly understandable. We're talking about the trailer, not the movie. But I think the trailer, it alleviated all my fears. It alleviated every worry I had going in. Even though I was fucking hating on Crypto the dog, this trailer even won me over on Crypto the dog.
You know why? The only reason I held out hope about Crypto the dog, and I just in the back of my mind is like hold out hope, is because of how much I loved Rocket Raccoon and what James Gunn did with him. And I'm like, you know what? He's gonna nail it.
Yeah, he's absolutely gonna nail this. Listen, I have all the faith in the world in James Gunn. Again, I mean, he made the Guardians of the Galaxy films. He made Slither. He made Peacemaker. He made Suicide Squad. I mean, I even like his movie Super. I mean, so I've got all the faith in the world in James Gunn. I do, but it doesn't matter how good you are. When you're tackling something as loaded and as tricky and it is as much of a minefield as trying to launch a new cinematic universe with a character like Superman. When you have a lot of people like me, who Henry Cavill is my all-time favorite Superman, you know, it's a precarious spot to be in. So you never know how it's going to work out. But man, this trailer felt inspiring. It felt like it brought that sense of awe and wonder. It addresses a lot of Superman-ish issues like collateral damage and trying to save the world, Superman being vulnerable, being beaten up and stuff like that, having to have another life with Lois Lane, all that kind of stuff. I just thought for a first trailers that are not supposed to give away story points yet, wait for trailer 2 and 3 to do that. That's not supposed to give a lot of stuff away. I thought for a first trailer, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And here's the other key thing. There are going to be people out there. Well, first of all, there are going to be people out there who completely honestly just watch the trailer and go, that didn't do anything for me. That's totally fair. It's a piece of art. There are going to be people who look at this and just go, it didn't work for me. That's fine. However, what is also true is there's also a certain segment out there that decided months ago that they were going to trash on anything that comes out regarding this, no matter how good it is. Like Jesus himself could descend from the clouds and proclaim this is a great trailer, and they would just go, Jesus is a shill. That's what they would do, right? So there are going to be people who honestly look at this and don't like it totally fairly. There are going to be people who have pre-decided that they're just going to hate on it no matter what. But I think the vast, vast, vast majority of your average non-hardcore comic book fans, but your average movie-going audience are going to look at this trailer and go, I think I'm going to go see that. I would put money on that.
It feels like there's a hints of everything we loved from previous Superman movies in this trailer. Just little bits of it. Like you see the the Christopher Reeve Clark Kent. That's what I loved about those movies.
Sure.
His Clark Kent and his goofiness. But then you saw that shot where he's saving that child, and that reminds me of the best parts of Man of Steel was the action
Yeah.
like the destruction.
Oh God, the action in Man of Steel. Like that's gonna be real hard for James Gunn. Because I'm not saying you can't do certain things better than Man of Steel did, but the action in Man of Steel was so good that it's going to be real. I hope James Gunn can even come close to that.
I'm not even sure if he's interested in maybe even matching that. I mean, this seems like a Superman that's more focused on getting us to relate to him from this trailer. From what
relatable
I see.
Superman.
That's always been the problem with me and the Superman.
And I think with a lot of average fans too, the problem is that Superman is very difficult. Even in the early days of DC Comics, they understood, like as Marvel was starting to ascend as a comic book brand, the folks at DC, they struggled with the fact that they were starting to understand that a lot of their heroes, particularly Superman, was very non-relatable. And that has continued to be a problem that they have tried to address and fix. And if James Gunn can crack that code, and others have done it to certain degrees of success as well, that'll be a big step in the right direction for this.
And even the problems that he ran to as Clark Kent, just knowing that he's Superman under there, kind of like disconnect too. So if he could bridge that gap, that you know, for me to see Clark Kent as an actual human being, separate from Superman, I think he'll do the job that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one final thought on it, and it wasn't so for you and probably many of our watchers and listeners, but it was for me. And it goes back to what you were saying, John, about if you tell a good story, it doesn't matter, you know, this or that. I never once paid attention to his shorts. Never once.
Yeah. Again, I hate the fact that the underoos are back. But I don't care. I mean, look, it's just the costume. I don't care. But I mean, I still don't like the red underwear on top of the pants. I don't, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Again, listen, I was looking for this trailer to wow me, and just right from the beginning with the boom into the snow, he's dying basically.
It's
Crypto, the action, the kaiju, all this. It's just, my God, it's just a perfect first trailer. It's perfect.
very
Less than
early.
6 months for you guys, because you're going to CinemaCon, and I bet you they're playing it there.
I will bet. April, we're going to CinemaCon, and I am willing to put money that number one, Marvel is going to show us Thunderbolts, and because of how important this Superman movie is for starting a new cinematic universe, I am willing to put money right now that James Gunn, who's already said he's going to be at CinemaCon, I bet you anything they're going to be playing Superman for us. Like 3 months in advance. I think they're going to show us Superman.
Let me look at the hot toys that are releasing in the next few months. And we can,
So-
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, I can't imagine how this trailer could have been any better.
It's a great trailer.
And you know, and a lot of people, like last night when we did open mic talking about what to expect from the trailer, a lot of our viewers expressed to me worries that they're going to show too much. Like, remember in Batman versus Superman, they showed Doomsday.
Yeah.
Like a third act finale climax thing, they showed Doomsday. A lot of people were worried they were going to give away too much. They clearly did not give away much.
Well, can we talk about the music? Did we mention
Oh,
that
we
at
haven't
all?
even talked about the music
The
yet.
thing that
the metal,
the thing that
80s
got me
metal
like,
guitar.
yeah, come
that
on.
electric guitar.
As soon as that kicked in, I was like, it just brought me back to like, oh, this is Superman.
Yeah.
He's finally coming back. You know, I love the music. I love what he chose, how he chose to use it. At the time he started using it, it was great.
You know, it's funny because in a recent interview, James Gunn talked about how there are definitely some influences of Top Gun Maverick in Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And then for them to start that, it's like that was very Top Gunny. And
right.
then as the child goes Superman, it changes
Yeah, it goes,
from the electric guitar to the orchestral and all that kind of stuff. Listen,
And right in that moment, you hear a whistle. That is a transition too.
Yep.
There.
And listen, I've said I believe they are going to and should have a new theme for Superman, and I still believe they are.
I think they will.
But to launch this first teaser trailer with the familiar, with the nostalgic of that John Williams score, even a different rendition of it, I think was a brilliant stroke of genius. I think it was perfect.
Do you think they'll do the Batman where the theme actually releases before the movie, or do you think he's gonna wait for all of us to hear it?
Yeah,
when we're in the seats?
I think a lot of movies do that. I think the soundtrack for Superman will probably drop somewhere near the end of June. I think they'll probably drop the
Do you
whole
like
soundtrack.
when they do that?
As long as
It doesn't spoil.
The titles of the tracks
Right.
don't spoil the movie. Again, the biggest example of this, going back to Star Wars The Phantom Menace when it came out. Because about a month before Star Wars The Phantom Menace dropped and came out in theaters, they released the soundtrack. And one of the titles of one of the pieces of music was Qui-Gon's Noble End.
And
It's like, what are we doing?
I just dropped the CD. I dropped to my knees in the Virgin Mega Store.
Like seriously, like what are they doing? Like it's like if in June we pick up the soundtrack for that and then Batman Saves Lois. Like if that's the title of one of the tracks, we go, what?
They were talking about his ass.
They're talking about his ass. His noble end. Yeah, guys. So listen, this trailer far exceeded all my expectations. I had my doubts. I had my reservations. I don't like the red underoos. I thought it was dumb that they were bringing in crypto. All of it has been changed. I mean, I still don't like the underoos, but they won me over in crypto. The music was perfect. The whole differences of Clark, the showing the vulnerability of Superman, showing a world that is kind of resisting the fact that there's damage when he's not. They're holding him accountable, giving us little glimpses of the other heroes to show that this is a bigger world than just a Superman origin story. I love it.
It
Now,
checked all the boxes.
doesn't mean the movie's going to be good, though. It might end up being bad.
And
It
the next
might,
trailer needs to be good too.
But as far, what's that?
And the next full trailer.
Well, that's the
the
thing.
story trailer.
Which I bet will be at Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The next trailer, when we do get dialogue, when they start to give us an idea, here's what the story of this movie is. That's going to be obviously very key and very important. All we're talking about here is the first tester, the 2 minutes and 20 second, here's a feel for this movie. The next trailer may suck, but this one nailed it.
This is gonna make
This one's
money,
great.
John. I firmly believe.
It's going to make money. I
This is
still
gonna
don't
make
think
some-
it's not $1 billion film though. There's too many Snyder Bros who are hating on it. There's too many average moviegoers who feel burned by the previous DCU. I still think it's going to take them a while to win back the audience. Even if this movie's really great, I think it'll make money. I just don't think it's going to be like a $900 million.
I think 800 something. That's where I'm putting.
Yeah. Well, if it's good, that's going to be where the range, or 750, whatever. But what do you think Gunn's going to do in terms of what I want to say? How long will they insist it stays in theaters? How many days? Do you think there's going to be? Because I don't want to see them do this, and it's like a 45-day window.
No, well, I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it is up to James Gunn.
Yeah.
He'll decide how long they want to have it out
I'm not
there.
saying it has to be 100 days like Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's got to be more than like 45.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, I don't think this is an $800 million film. I hope I'm wrong. I think it's going to take them. I think they're going to have to build up the DCU to getting to that point. But I think minimum. It's not going to be one of these twisters where it's in theaters and 2 weeks later you can watch it on VOD.
Oh, I hope not.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But 45 to 60 days probably. Hopefully it's 60 to 90.
Yeah, I'm hoping 60.
I'm
to
really
90.
hoping they give this a nice long runway of a theatrical release and really make it an event when it comes out on home video. That's the other thing about these short theatrical windows is that when they come out on home video, it's not even an event anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that's another topic for another time. Guys, question is for you. What did you think about the Superman trailer? Listen, it's a piece of art. It's not going to work for everybody. If it didn't work for you, nothing wrong with that. That's totally fair. And hopefully the next ones will win us over. Maybe you're like me and you absolutely loved it. Maybe you think it's the greatest trailer of all time. I don't think it's that, but I think it's great. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the biggest and most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your feedback, your thoughts, observations, theories, comments, questions, and topics. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, the good folks at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, we all know November's all about gratitude. And along with those we appreciate, let's not forget to thank ourselves. In a world as busy as ours, just making it through each day can be an accomplishment. One important way to show yourself some appreciation is by investing in your mental health. And that's where therapy can really make a difference. Therapy isn't just for those in crisis. It's for anyone wanting to learn better coping skills, set healthy boundaries, and work towards being their best selves. You often heard me talk about that it's great that we prioritize our physical health, but it's time that we also prioritize our mental health. Let's start encouraging ourselves and others to take steps to improve our mental health as well. So if you've ever thought about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, super flexible, and fits right into your schedule. You just fill out a quick questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime at no extra charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. I am still shaking from the trailer. I am still literally shaking from the trailer. I just cannot believe how good this damn thing is. Anyway, okay, let's get over to your thoughts, theories, opinions, questions, and topics, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Anonymous says, hey guys, with all the talk of Emmy contenders, I was wondering if you guys saw the show Interior Chinatown. It's on Hulu, and I think it's going to be a contender. It was one of the most mind-melting shows I've ever seen, rivaling Russian Doll.
First of all, I loved Russian Dolls. I still can't believe the person who made that, because Russian Dolls was great, made The Acolyte, which was not great. No, I haven't seen, to be honest with you, I haven't even heard of that show.
Right.
So, but thank you for putting it on my radar. I'll make sure I see if I can check it out.
Yeah, it's got a great cast.
All right, what's next?
Noah says, John, I just saw Ben-Hur for the first time and loved it. Toby Kebbell and Jack Houston were great side by side. Not the Ben-Hur I thought he was referring to.
That's not the Ben-Hur I thought you were referring to. Listen, the original Ben-Hur is one of the greatest films of all time. And Jack Houston is really great. I was personally very disappointed by the remake. I'm totally open for them making remakes.
Yeah.
I am, but I was really disappointed by that movie myself, but I'm glad you liked it. All right, what's next?
Edna says, I have a hopeful theory about the horrible red underwear. I believe Superman has been avoiding interviews till now, and Lois in an interview will say, what's with the underwear on the outside? And out of embarrassment, the next time we see him, he won't have them. Well, I guess that would satisfy your judgment, but
I'll tell you what, that'll never happen. But if they did do a scene in the movie where Lois is like, what's with the underwear on the outside?
Yeah.
I would love it. If they at least addressed that elephant in the room and said, what's with the underwear on the outside? I don't think you should then lose it because
she can say
of
what's
that.
with the trunks, yeah.
But I think that would be gold if they did that. All right, what's next?
River says, hey, John, do you think James Gunn will change his mind about making everything like games and animation canon? There is some concern over whether or not all future DC games will be forced to be part of canon, or maybe they will be Elseworld.
No, I've addressed this before. I think, listen, it's just like when Disney first took over, Star Wars, before The Force Awakens ever came out, and they said, oh, now everything's going to be canon. And I said, that's a nice thought, but you're never going to be able to do that.
Right.
You're going to run into too many creative constraints, and it's going to become far too entangled. And sure enough, within like 2 years, they were breaking canon. And that's fine. So I think James Gunn, when he kind of said that, I think that was done very enthusiastically. And I think it's a nice thought, but I think he's going to realize you can't do that and actually be creative at the same time. All right, what's next?
Anish Capiche with a $20 tip says,
Thank you, Anish.
DCU movies don't include Elseworld stories. I think the umbrella term you're looking for is DC Studios. That's how Gunn has used these terms to describe everything.
You know what? I'm done addressing the Clayface thing. I'm not addressing.
I know these people are really
We've gone
hooked on
over
it.
this like 6 times already. It is what it is. Let's just move on.
Garden Variety Vagabond says the dinner scene in Dune Prophecy showed so much acting beyond the words, and music was as much a part of the scene.
Which dinner scene? Like you're talking about the Harkonnen dinner? If so, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Listen, I'm still on the fence about Dune Prophecy. I thought episode 4 was better, and I thought it was a step in the right direction. I'm still a little iffy on it. I'm hoping it gets better. Again, it's not bad. It's not bad. I love the Dune movies so much. I was kind of expecting more, but maybe it'll build up and get better as we go. All right, what's next?
We got Tacky Ticky Ricky. It's a weird connection, I just realized, but Zack Snyder's directorial debut, Dawn of the Dead, was written by James
we
Gunn.
talked about that before.
Yeah, 20 years later, Gunn is rebooting DC with a Superman movie, 11 years after Snyder started a DC universe with a Superman film.
Everything's connected. Everything's connected. And again, I think, first of all, I know that James Gunn appreciates Zack Snyder's films. And I know he liked Man of Steel. And that's why I kind of like, if I'm right, and I could be wrong about this, but my personal fan theory is that part of that thing about like with the damage being done to the city trying to stop this kaiju, I think that's kind of James Gunn like kind of backing up Zack Snyder a little bit by like with the fact that so many people complain that Superman would never let anything bad happen. Well, he's trying to fight General Zod. Bad things are going to happen. Anyway, so I think there's kind of a little bit of that, but we'll see. I might be totally wrong about that, but we'll see when the movie comes out. All right, what's next?
Steelman Cavill says, seeing Man of Steel is still one of the most unique movie-going experiences. I went with 6 friends to the first screening and was the only one who liked or loved it. I understand plenty of criticism, but I will always like and rewatch this film. I never had a bad feeling about it. I
still, to this day, believe Superman is a masterpiece of the genre. I don't believe it's a masterpiece like on the level of The Godfather, but of the comic book genre, I think Man of Steel is a masterpiece. I like it more and more every time I watch it. I just think the movie's brilliant. It's my all-time favorite Superman movie. But I'm super excited to see what James Gunn is going to do with him. All right, what's next?
Okay, Brian has a two-parter. Says, if Ryan Coogler knew that Shuri or anyone else would take over the Black Panther in the sequel, he would have laid the groundwork in the first film. It's unfair a criticism to say Black Panther 2 is idiotic because Princess of Wakanda has been taken over.
No, it isn't. It's a totally logical, common sense thing to say. It was idiotic to make Shuri the new Black Panther.
Yeah.
The most unqualified person to be the warrior defender of Wakanda when you had all these other perfect ones, including Nakia, who the queen herself tried to get to take the flower before. Like, again, it makes no logical sense whatsoever that you take the lab rat girl and say, who is one of my top 5, Shuri is one of my top 5 favorite MCU characters, by the way. But to make her the new Black Panther was one of the most idiotic things in the world, especially when you had T'Challa's bride, who is a warrior, who single-handedly went into Talocan to rescue the princess. And then when it's come time for the flower, who should be the warrior defender of Wakanda? The warrior queen?
And then it was
or the lab rat.
And then,
it's just the dumbest thing they could have ever done.
I also, the whole thing of like, now she's Dark Shuri because she's fighting her anger was just like, come on.
Yeah,
but anyway, Brian follows up, and this is actually to your point, Brian. It says, had we never seen the first Black Panther, but we did.
That's the point. We did see the first Black Panther.
Then more people would agree with you.
It did establish the world.
That's what's established.
That is what we had going into the second film, and they should have dealt with it accordingly. Anyway.
Anonymous says, have y'all noticed the 78 poster tagline is "You'll believe a man can fly," and the 25 is "Look up." Combine the two, it's perfect. And do you think the crew is going to shed tears watching this?
I didn't, but I almost shed tears watching the trailer. And yeah, listen, that first in that 1978, which I was too young to remember, but I mean, that 1978 thing with the tagline, "You'll believe a man could fly." I mean, that was a reference to also the visual effects that they were using in the original Superman movie and everything like that. But I think Look Up isn't so much of a reference to that original thing of "You'll believe a man could fly." I believe it embodies, again, this is a response to a lot of the criticism previous Superman iterations have had, that it's hope, it's inspiration, it's look up, right? Something to aspire to. Like I think there's so much wrapped up in those two words that I thought it was a perfect little phrase to put on this poster, much like "You'll believe a man could fly" was perfect to attach to the first Superman. All right, what's next?
Aaron says, to me, Attack on Titan is my personal masterpiece. I've never watched anything and have the word masterpiece pop up in my head until I saw Attack on Titan. You said you've read the whole thing. What's the thing you didn't like about it?
Oh, I never said I disliked the thing. I never liked the animation.
Yeah.
I actually really liked the graphic novel stuff. I just didn't, the cartoon didn't click with me for some reason. So yeah, I never said I disliked the original comic though. I actually always did quite like it. My wife was the one who introduced me to it actually. All right, what's next?
Disney Gifts by Bryce says, you were right, Guy Gardner and Hot Girl Explosions. Action, the Superman trailer was great. I've always been more of a Batman guy personally, but this looks really good. I can't wait to see it, but don't want you to retire. A double-edged sword, I guess.
Well, we'll put that aside for a second. So I definitely think we're going to hear Batman referenced in the movie. I even think there's a chance we get a glimpse of him. I'm not willing to put money on that. But I think 100% there will be a Batman reference in the movie. I have no doubt about that.
Wow.
I think someone's going to go, "Where's Bruce?" It's like maybe when something like there's a danger facing the city, like one of them might go, "Where's Batman when you need him?" or something like that. I don't know. So it probably won't play a role in the movie, but I think there'll definitely be a reference to him.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Red One says that trailer from Clark hugging that man to the boy with the flag. I teared up seeing the joy and resilience this movie feels grounded in. Gonna really breathe life into fans' dreams. Even if the movie disappoints, the trailer will remain a masterpiece.
Yeah, again, there are two different things. The trailer's the trailer, the movie's the movie. Just because the trailer's great doesn't mean the movie will be great. We understand that. But I remember when DC dropped the trailer today and I went on to it, like, and you read the comments, like, and so many people writing like, James Gunn gets it. You know, it's one of the things I've been trying to say for a long time to people. Is like, listen, however hardcore of a fan you think you are, James Gunn knows the comics better than you do. The only person I probably wouldn't say that to is John Schnepp.
Right.
But other than that, it's like, whoever you are and you think you know, James Gunn knows the comics better than you do. And he gets it. Now, whether he's going to be able to translate that or not, we'll have to wait and see. There have been a lot of movies in the last couple of years I was really excited about that I ended up hating. So, and maybe this will be the next one. I don't know. But, you know, it felt like, you know, we said it, we were talking in the studio beforehand that this felt like comic book pages coming to the screen. And not a lot of comic book movies do that. Comic book movies don't need to do that in order to be great. But it just felt really refreshing because it literally felt like comic book pages were just taken from a page and put on the screen. It felt like in the spirit of a comic book movie. And I think the one comment I read over and over again in the comments section on the YouTube video, I agree with. One of the things that really comes across in this is that James Gunn gets it. Especially if you know All-Star Superman.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
And,
That was great.
then you get the feel of this, like he gets it. And whether he's able to turn that into a good movie or not, we'll wait and see. All right, what's next?
Sir Z says, "Hey guys, love the Superman trailer. Good way to start the morning. Took my boys to watch Dr. Dolittle, aka Craven, to Galaxy in Riverside on Saturday. We were the only ones there. Had the whole screen to ourselves. Both my boys liked the movie, so worth it, I guess. Hey, if they enjoyed it, then it's worth it.
It's the baseline rule that every film fan should understand. All film is subjective. If you don't understand that, you're not a film fan. Like that is the first fundamental rule of being a film fan. You have to understand. All film is subjective. I think Craven is one of the worst pieces of cinematic garbage ever made. But that doesn't mean you can't like it. And it means if you like it, doesn't mean you're wrong. If a piece of art hits you in a certain way that it elicits an experience in you and it elicits certain emotions in you that makes you appreciate it, that's great. Even if I hate the movie, I love that your kids had a good time at it. That's the key thing to being film fans, is that you don't have to like what I like and you don't have to dislike what I dislike. That's fine. It's actually great. That's the most beautiful thing about movies, man, is that it as art, it hits us all in different ways and we get to share the different experiences we all have with it. Anyway, what's next?
Sir Z follows up, says, interesting about Black Panther. I think Marvel was in a no-win situation about recasting. The safe option was not to be seen to disrespect Chadwick. And then plus which actor would you have taken that role? The pressure to replace Chadwick and potential online abuse maybe would have been too much. I think sometimes you need to take a loss for the greater good. By the way, Trading Places, Murphy Ackroyd is my favorite Christmas movie ever. So underrated. I can watch that movie over and over again. Classic.
Listen, one of the things I've always acknowledged with the Black Panther situation was that it was a no-win situation, right? And even though I thought it was a dumb decision not to recast T'Challa, I never got mad about it because it came from a place of love. The decision they made came from a place of love.
Absolutely.
Right? And I've always understood that. So I don't think Ryan Coogler's an idiot. No, I get it. I get it. I still think it was the wrong decision, but their motivation was wanting to respect Coogler or Ryan wanting to respect Chadwick. Now, my big thing was, though, is that if you really want to pay respect and honor Chadwick, then you pick up the baton for him and you carry on for him. He built this character. He brought life
Yeah.
to this super vital, important character that became a cultural icon for a lot of people in T'Challa. And I think the way you pay respect and honor him is to say, you know, we will carry on for you. You drop the baton, like, tragically, and don't worry about it. Don't fret. We will pick it up for you and we will carry it on for you. But again, it came from a place of love, and I've always understand. And you're right. Had they recast him, a lot of people would have said, you're disrespecting Chadwick.
Yeah, and I got it at the time with the emotion, and when I first saw that trailer, I was like, "Wow, this is excellence," and I think they were probably right. But then after all that went down, and the emotion simmered, I thought, "There's no going back from this."
Yeah.
You've closed the book on Black Panther now, and now you don't have Captain America, you don't have Iron Man, you don't have Black Panther to move forward, and you definitely don't have Black Panther. Unless you do an Elseworlds thing, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, again, to me, like, it's just that's how you honor them, is by if they've fallen, you pick up the baton for them and you can carry on their legacy, not get rid of their legacy. But again, you're right. It was a no-win situation for them. Now, with that, they made the decision to kill off the character. Okay. I still think there were 5 other better choices to make the new Black Panther than Shuri, starting with Nakia. That she was the clear, obvious choice. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked on that. Let's move on. What's next?
Sam Fisher says, the Superman trailer was outstanding. It's truly the first time I'm excited for this movie. I love that you can get the feel and tone of the movie as well as the rudiments of the story. And it looks like Lois learns his identity in the movie.
I get the feeling she already knows his identity when the movie starts. I think the little look she gives him, even in the newsroom and stuff like that. I don't know that. I could be way wrong about that, and that's totally fine. But my guess is that she already knows who he is. I might be wrong, but that's my guess. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, for as much as I liked Man of Steel, this movie seems to have the one thing it was truly missing, hope and optimism. The phrase, you truly will believe a man can fly, has never felt more tangible than after this trailer.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. Like, while hope and optimism weren't the dominant themes in Man of Steel, I absolutely believe they were there, though. I think they were there. I mean, like, look, in the original Man of Steel, you got, Clark, played by Henry Cavill, who's really struggling to figure out, remember, he's an alien who has no idea about where he's from, truly what he can do, why is he even there, and he just lost his father. And I thought that was a great way to start off. And so you have this Clark who's just kind of wandering the earth on a pilgrimage, trying to find himself and trying to find out who he is and what he is. And is there any other signs out there about that might give me clues as to who I am? And then all of a sudden, just as he's discovering it, an alien army shows up that it says, we're here to wipe out humanity. And now he's thrust into that. So while I acknowledge that hope and optimism were definitely not the dominant themes of Man of Steel, I still think they were there.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. They do seem to be, in this new Superman, the dominant themes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a nice distinction. It's not better or worse, but I think that's a nice distinction from the previous iteration. So we'll see how it works out. All right, what's next?
Trek Nerd says, 1701. As a Soups fan since 78, I have advocated for a story that depicts Pa Kent as a widower. Gunn might have accomplished that for me.
Yeah, so again, we talked about this as we were going through the trailer. I wonder, with Pa Kent and Clark looking all sad, does that mean in this iteration, instead of Pa Kent dying, they flip the script a little bit and Ma Kent dies? Maybe, or maybe they're just sad about something else, some other kind of struggle or whatever. But it would be interesting if they did flip that a little bit. And in this one, his father figure is still there, but his mother figure is gone. Or maybe they're both still there.
Well, that's going to make things way less awkward between him and Batman. So,
all right, what's next?
Ethan Holgate says, I know this movie will be great. And I love James Gunn, but I'm not digging the blue tinted color palette, which might seem like a silly thing to complain about. it makes it look CW to me, given that it's IMAX. I was expecting the Suicide Squad look. But once I see the movie, it might not bother me as much. I'm just getting that vibe off the trailer at the moment. Also, I noticed I accidentally said jigging instead of digging, but I know what you meant. That is what I meant to say. My apologies.
I did not notice such a tint.
There's a bit, but also he's in like Antarctica, so there's a lot of blue and white there. And then, I mean, his suit is dominantly blue, so you're going to get a lot of blue there. There's scenes where it's not as much.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
think
for
it's going to
instance,
be a constant.
If you look at like scenes like this,
Yeah.
I don't like in Man of Steel, granted that more subdued, dulled color palette that Zack Snyder wanted to employ and use, you could definitely see that throughout the movie.
But I'm not catching like a
But,
dominant
like,
blue.
Yeah, I'm not getting that, to be honest with you, with a lot of these shots.
Their skin tones look correct.
Yeah, like even in something like this, like
Mhm.
I mean, you got the blue sky and the blue suit, but everything else looks pretty color rich. But I don't know, maybe once if I see it on my giant, granted, I haven't watched this trailer on my big TV yet. I've
Yeah.
only watched it on my iPad and on my computer screen. Maybe once I watch it on my TV, I'll see what you're talking about a little bit more. All right, what's next?
Christopher says, John, I don't cry a lot at movies, but when a Superman trailer can get me crying with what they did with Crypto, Superman clearly injured. First thought is to call Crypto to help, and Crypto dragging him by the cave through the snow. It got me.
Listen, I'm telling you though, that freaking shot of the snow, like, let me see if I can bring it up here. This shot where do you go to my NDI?
Got it.
Where it's like a freight train, or like I said, the sandworms on Arrakis, like something powerful is
It's
coming.
plowing.
Right? Something powerful is coming. And then it gets there and it's freaking Crypto. And in that moment, all my complaining and all my criticism and all my doubts about whether it was a good idea to bring the freaking dog into this movie, because I admit it, I bashed on the idea, gone. I am completely won over, 100% I'm won over, and then Sway's home. And then Crypto grabs Escape and takes him home. Ah, totally got me. Totally got me. All right, what's next?
Brian says, after seeing the Superman trailer, my first thought was, thank God we have Matt Reeves off in his corner for now, making his films. Felt this trailer is just another MCU CW project. Hope everyone loves it. The negativity DC films have had been draining.
I mean, if I don't understand that comment at all. And you're right. I've heard that in other places as well. I just don't get it. This didn't feel MCU-ish. Not that would be a bad thing. I love the MCU.
Right.
I mean, they're kind of hit and miss right now, but overall, I really like the MCU. I didn't think this felt like the MCU. I didn't feel like it felt like the old DCEU. I got a totally unique feel from it, and that's either good or bad, who knows, but I got a really unique feel from it myself personally. But, you know, your perception of it is no more or less valid than mine. So, I mean, that's something to look out for. But I didn't think it felt like anything we've had before so far. And I kind of like that personally. But that's just me. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher says, theory as to what this Superman movie will be about. It's a world of superheroes and they do good, but they're not necessarily the best people. Guy Gardner is a dick. Mr. Terrific sells his gadgets for money, etc. And then Superman is the first hero to do good and be good at the same time because of who the Kents made him. And Clark inspired people to not only do good, but be good. Yeah, be their better themselves.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's in the classic story Kingdom Come, there's a great kind of Elseworlds like self-contained story called Kingdom Come. It's iconic. It's great. But basically in that, it's like superheroes have kind of lost their way. And the old, because remember, it's set a bit in the future, the old generation of superheroes like Superman and Wonder Woman or Batman are like looking at all the new heroes and like they are not acting like heroes anymore and something's got to be done. They could be taking some things, because James Gunn has said we're going to take some themes from like Kingdom Come and All-Star Superman and Superman for All Seasons and all that kind of stuff and bring it in. So maybe there's a little bit of that. But the nice thing about Guy Gardner is, even though he's a dick, and he is a dick,
Yeah.
there's no doubt which side he's on. Like, Guy Gardner is a dick. He's on the right side, though. He's on the good guy side. And I think Mr. Terrific, I think he has like 14 PhDs. Mr. Terrific is supposed to be a character that literally has 14 doctorates.
Jeez.
I think these are going to be good guys, but again, and I'm still, look, the biggest question for me in the trailer is, who is it that beat the hell out of Superman that left him in the state that we find him in the beginning of the movie?
Right.
That's going to be interesting. Is it Ultraman? Maybe. All right, what's next?
Julia says, we know that movies come out on Christmas Eve or day, but why don't movies come out on New Year's? I would think it would even have more of a box office impact. Also, did anyone adopt a Dune as she was so cute?
We might have some updates on Dune a little bit later. Dune is a dog we rescued. Anyway, so I think one of the big reasons, this may sound silly, a lot of people hung over on New Year's Day. Too many people have plans New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has plans New Year's Eve. At least most people do. I often don't, because I'm a hobbit, or a hermit, I should say, and I'm a loser. But New Year's Eve, I don't think you get a lot of people in the movie theater. And New Year's Day, I think just a lot of people are hungover and recovering. So
Yeah.
personally, I think that's probably why. Good question, though.
Yeah. Anonymous with a $20 tip. Good morning, Campea crew.
Thank you, man.
Have you seen Landman with Billy Bob Thornton on Paramount? Sheridan does not miss. Bring on the filthy.
It's really good. I am 4 episodes in now. It's really good. My one criticism about Landman, and again, I am really liking it, and Taylor Sheridan is fabulous. It's a little too preachy at times. Like, in almost every episode, there's 2 or 3 times where Billy Bob Thornton is all-knowing and knows everything and is always right and puts people in their place. And I love the character, but it's a little heavy-handed and it's a little overboard. So I hope they reel that part of it in a little bit. But even with that criticism, I'm really enjoying the show. Like I said, I'm 4 episodes in. I think I've got 2 more to get caught up. And again, Taylor Sheridan, man. Kingstown, Tulsa, Yellowstone, 1883, 1923, and now Landman. I mean, he's absolutely killing it. All right, what's next?
We got Shamcat says, now that looks like $1 billion Superman movie. I don't know about that, but
Again, I listen, I hope I'm wrong about this.
that would be amazing.
I don't believe Superman. Again, there's just got too many obstacles as the first movie. I do not see a reality in which it gets to $1 billion. I hope I'm wrong. I'd be super happy if I am. But I just think this has got to be the movie that gets people over the obstacles so that the future movies can possibly be $1 billion films. I just think Superman's too much headwind against it right now. But I hope I'm wrong. All right, what's next?
JM, none other, says, what's up, crew? That Superman trailer, I haven't felt rocked when watching a trailer since we got our first teaser trailer for Star Wars The Force Awakens exactly 10 years ago. You said this movie doesn't have to make big money, but I'm sensing over 100 million opening.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy.
I don't think 100 million opening is
cool.
completely unrealistic.
Because you could get a huge swath of people going in right away.
Yeah. You could get all the people like me who have already decided we want to see this thing desperately that'll be there. So, I mean, like, do I think it'll make 100 million opening weekend? I don't. But do I think it's completely irrational to think that's a possibility? Not after that trailer. Again, look, there are going to be people who had already pre-decided to hate anything that comes out of this new DC, right? This trailer isn't going to win those people over. That's fine. But I really believe that there's a big swath of the average film-going audience, the normies, who are going to see that trailer and go, yeah, I think I'll check that out. I think this trailer means 100 million opening. It could be on the table. Again, I still don't think. I think it'll be a big opening. I don't think it'll be 100, but after this trailer, it's not impossible. Mm-hmm. It's not impossible.
100 million in the first 3 minutes.
In the first 3 million.
In the first 3 minutes.
All right, what's next?
John M has a 2-parter. John, can you explain something to me with Superman's teaser coming out and the movie not out for 7 months? It made me wonder, where in the process do movies usually make the trailer? What's left in the months, weeks, and days leading up to the release? I assume VFX, but is it audio reshoots? Are they finished and just want to have a publicly run for 7 months?
Publicity.
Or publicity run for 7 months? Or are movies really not finished until right around the deadline?
No, most of the time a movie is done a couple of months before it comes out, normally. Listen, there have been examples, even the last couple of years, of movies that have literally been done and sitting on a shelf for like 2 years before they eventually got released. But every once in a while, like the first Avengers movie is famous that like literally Joss Whedon was working in the offices, putting final touches on like 72 hours before the movie came out, which is like crazy. Anyway, but the vast majority of the time, the movie's done a few months before it comes out. But yeah, in this last stretch, like they're working on visual effects, little edits, audio, Foley, color, like all that kind of stuff is going into it right up until the point that it's done. So again, I think putting out a trailer 7 months in advance is too early. I think the 5-month window is the more reasonable point to start promoting a film. I think you'll capture more of the momentum that way, and you're going to be able to carry that momentum to the release date a little bit more than when you put it out 7 months in advance. But some different movies do it different ways. All right, what's next?
Alex Mercer says, "Hey, John and crew, I'm sorry, but I can't get the fact that Alan Ritchson looks exactly and built like B.J. Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein: The New Order and The New Colossus. Have a great end of the year. Been working and lurking. Also for Rob, How to Drain Your Dragon." Well, listen, go see, if you haven't seen Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, that's as close as you're going to get to seeing B.J. Blazkowicz kill Nazis. Because that's Alan Ritchson, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, I know this is off topic, but my God, that new trailer for Reacher, where Alan Ritchson is fighting, where Reacher is fighting Paulie, and they got the world's biggest bodybuilder who just dwarfs Alan Ritchson. Like, I still can't believe a human being that large exists. And normally when you get guys who are that big, they like have awkward bodies, right? But this guy is like world-class bodybuilder and 7'3". And like, I've never seen a human being that large before. It's so crazy seeing Alan Ritchson, who is a brick of a man, standing next to somebody who totally dwarfs him. Like, it's totally, I cannot wait to see that on screen in Reacher season 3. All right, what's next?
Julia says, "I know you're not jazzed about the Dunn's show, John, and though there's a problem with the writing, I think they will tell more than show. The latest episode was so good. Speaking as a new Dunn, Dune.
Yeah.
I thought they were, okay. Dune fan. It's good for a story that was once deemed unadaptable."
Well, it's a totally different thing too, right? Like this isn't adapting the books. This is really more, this is a new creation around the history of it. And listen, I absolutely think the new Dune show has potential. I think there is definitely some interesting things in there. I think the performances are quite good. I particularly like the guy from Vikings, but it just hasn't got me there yet. I'm still on board. I'm still with it. I thought episode 4 was pretty good, but it's got a long way to go for me to think it's a really good show, but we'll see where it goes. So halfway through. All right, what's next?
Amin says, "Two very interesting observations I had with the trailer. No title card text of the Suicide Squad. Clearly they don't want to remind anyone about DCEU, even if it was Gunn. And no Superman title card at the end. It didn't need it. A fantastic teaser."
You know what? I was talking to somebody about that earlier, about the fact that no Warner Brothers Presents or anything like that. It's just boom. From James Gunn, boom. And then for all the average film goers out there, like, I think there are some people, like when it said from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody's like, well, duh, we all know that. No, actually, I think 90% of the average movie going audience who don't look at who a director of a film is, I think that was a really important thing to put in there for them, saying, oh, the guy who directed the Guardians of the Galaxy, cool. Because I don't think they know the name of the guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, those of us who make shows like this and watch shows like this, we know, you and I know, but I think a lot of people don't. But I thought it was really interesting. No Warner Brothers logo, no DC logo, no Superman logo coming up. It's just July 11th. I thought that was a really interesting choice. And I neither think that was the right choice or the wrong choice. I just think it was a really interesting choice. All right, what's next?
Is it a bird? Yep, it is. Says John and crew. Just watched the Superman trailer. I smiled the whole way through it till I nearly cried. I was born 17 years after the first Christopher Reeves movie, but I felt as if I was there after the trailer. I thought to myself, "This is Superman."
You know, it's funny. I told you when I went to DC's YouTube channel and watched the trailer on there, and then I went through the comments, so many people are saying like, hey, I'm 58 years old. I'm 61 years old. I'm 55 years old. I'm whatever. And like all of them saying, this took me back to when Christopher Reeve first came up on screen. I mean, it just took me back to that. I like a lot of people saying they hadn't felt the magic of Superman like this. And again, just keeping in context, we're just talking about a trailer here.
Right.
Okay. We're not saying this is going to be that great of a movie. We don't know, but we're just talking about the trailer. But like so many people like who are older saying like, this made me feel like the way I felt in 1978. Right. It was really interesting to read that. All right. What's next?
Dr. Stinky says, you've always mentioned your holy trinity of worst pictures, so here's mine. Halloween Ends, Dumb and Dumber, and Spawn.
Dumb and Dumber?
I know. They will most likely change through my film journey. Also, Superman's costume isn't complete without the red undies.
Oh, sure it is. This man right beside me here, Henry, proves without the red undies looks better. But to each their own. Really, Dumb and Dumber?
The first time I saw
That's one of the great comedies ever.
know,
To each their own.
First time I watched Dumb and Dumber, I didn't like it.
Wow.
I didn't think it was funny. And then I watched it the second time and I was like, this is genius. So I don't know what happened the first time I watched it, but now I love it.
All right, what's next?
BMC says, opening the trailer with a beaten and battered Superman was just brilliant. It humanized a godlike character and made him feel more relatable in a weird way.
100%. I like when he went down this, and not only just, it's one thing to show that he's been knocked down, but the spitting out blood and the labored breathing, and needing crypto to take it, like that addresses a big issue with Superman storytelling. That like, how do you tell an interesting story when the guy's invulnerable? You start off with him being vulnerable. And I thought that was a brilliant creative choice for the trailer. And again, I think all of this is the first act of the movie. I don't think we saw a single shot that is beyond the first 40 minutes of the movie. I really don't. All right, what's next?
JCC says, Superman teaser, I have many thoughts. I'll try to limit myself to 3 tip links, but promise nothing. But as soon as I saw that, it dropped. I stopped the lesson I was teaching, displayed on screen, and watched with my pupil.
Wow.
That's cool. I admit that with zero guilt.
Yeah, listen, I woke up this morning. I decided not to set my alarm early. All right. Because it came out at 6 a.m. our time. So I woke up at about 7 this morning. I'm normally up earlier than that, but Ann and I were up late. We had a bunch of things we had to accomplish last night. And so I didn't get to bed till like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I wasn't rolling out of bed at like 5:30 or 6 like I normally do. So I wake up around 7:15, 7:20 today. And you know, when you first wake up, you're like, you don't even know where you are. I'm like, ugh. So I wake up, take a breath, lay there for a second. My routine is then reach over, grab my iPad, check for important messages. And as I did, I hear Ann's voice. Superman trailer, honey. I'm like, ah. And then I scroll through to watch it. So yeah, I would have stopped what I was doing too. All right, what's next?
DJ Infa says, one thing DC has always done well are trailers. A couple days ago when you said you were concerned, I was like, chill out, Campea, BVS, the Batman, all trailers were fire. End product, so-so.
You're 100% right. Like one of the rare edges, I think in their heyday, when DC and Marvel and their movies are running, the two edges that I think DC had over Marvel, and there was only two, was I thought their scores were always better and they put out better trailers. I mean, DC killed it at putting out trailers. This is a new regime though. This is a new studio. DC Studios is a brand new studio. And like, would they be able to do it as well? Well, looks like they did. You're right. All right, what's next?
Jared says, by the time you read this, I'll be sitting in a Dolby Cinema, hopefully basking in the glory of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and that awesome Superman trailer.
Oh, I hope they play that trailer in front of Sonic.
Oh, man, I just thought about that. I can't wait to see it in theaters.
Yeah, because we're going to see Sonic in 2.5 hours. We're going to go see Sonic 3, 2.5 hours. I will do an out of the theater reaction with Ray. We'll see how that goes. I just thought about, like, I didn't even think about, they might show the Superman trailer in front of
Do
me.
you think they distribute? Do you think they've already distributed it to the theaters?
Oh, yeah, always, yeah.
Yeah, ahead of time.
Yeah, almost always when a trailer drops online,
It's
it's
ready
already
for-
lined up to go out in
Okay,
front of those things.
cool.
So I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That'll be great.
I'm really excited about seeing this trailer on a big screen. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I volunteer to help the homeless and those in need. I read certain comments from someone famous, which I thought was disgusting. I was upset with people. Then I watched the Superman trailer and I thought, this is a movie the world needs, to be kind and have empathy.
I mean, that's the kind of Superman James Gunn has been saying they want to do. Like a James Gunn who just fundamentally is, what did he say in the comment? Stands up for kindness in a world where kindness isn't in style anymore,
Right.
or something along those lines, right? And this is the type of Superman that I think listen, again, Man of Steel is my favorite. I love Henry Cavill's Superman, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people have been saying we kind of want a little bit more from our Superman of this sort of thing. And it looks like James Gunn is going to give them that.
And that's where, like, I think a lot of the trailer hit when that little boy was crying out for Superman. There's a
Superman,
lot
yeah.
of places in the world, even children, adults, probably wish there was a Superman in their current situation.
All right, what's next?
Jai is back, says, main takeaways, Corn Sweat is freaking huge and looks great as Clark. I love Nicholas Hoult, so shame on me for forgetting how good he is in because boy, did I feel the hate for Superman from that glimpse of him. Good boy, Crypto. I think I'm going to dig.
That look on Nicholas Holt's face after Superman flies by his building and that sheer anger and disgust that he has when he flies by. See if I can get it here.
It's like flying by the tower in Top Gun.
Yeah, like he buzzing the tower.
Yeah,
Like he just
buzzing
looks
the
so
tower.
so pissed off. Sees Superman flying. I think he's gonna be a great Lex. I really, really do. All right, what's next?
Daniel S. says that there will, of course, be people who simply dislike the trailer. That's fine. But so far, almost every negative comment I've seen across socials has mentioned the lack of Henry Cavill or Zack Snyder as the main criticism. Lame, in Gun I Trust, hyped.
Yeah, again, listen. It's a piece of art. The trailer is a piece of art just like any other trailer. And there are going to be people with all the best intentions are going to watch it and it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's totally fair. We were talking about some trailers yesterday that came out that I didn't like a couple of them that a lot of people did. Like the Electric State trailer.
Oh yeah, I really like that.
I'm really
trailer.
looking forward to the movie. I'm super looking forward to the movie. I am. It's the Russo brothers and Marcus and McFeely. But I didn't like the trailer. I'm excited about the movie, but I didn't like the trailer. Fair enough. I think there's going to be a lot of people, or some people at least, who see this trailer that feel the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm interested in a new Superman movie, but you know what? That trailer didn't do it for me. Nothing wrong with that. But that's different from, again, a certain segment of people out there who banded together and decided long ago that they were going to try their best to ruin this for everybody else. They were going to try. It doesn't matter how good the trailer ended up being. They were going to try to bash it as much as they could because they've got a pre-existing bias. They've got a pre-existing agenda that they're bringing to it that, listen, none of them like Man of Steel as much as I do. None of them like Henry Cavill as Superman as much as I do. But that's okay. We're going to move on to something new now. But there's just a segment of people out there that are like, no, it doesn't matter. We're going to hate it no matter what. Again, don't get those people confused with the people who just watch it honestly and they didn't like it. That's two different things. But yeah, and you know what? There is no winning those people over. There's no winning them over. It doesn't matter. So they shouldn't even worry about them. Just focus on the 99% of the audience, which is the average movie-going audience, and some of them will like it and some of them won't. And that's the reality, and that's fine. So we'll see how things go. All right, what's next?
Parmesan Cheese says, hey guys, I just saw the Superman teaser trailer. I loved it so much, but there's one thing I noticed that I feel like a few people missed. The fact that in the second half of the trailer, you can hear people chanting Superman.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in the movie, but I heard it.
Oh yeah, no, it's very prominent in the trailer.
In the trailer, I don't know if it'll be in the movie.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be in the movie. I think that you're going to be crowds of people going, Superman, Superman, right? Also some stills from there that I can imagine that was coming from.
Yeah.
So I think the big symbol of hope. I think that one shot again of people being angry at him, I think that's a direct result of the aftermath of the fight with that kaiju in the city where there's destruction in the city and people are going to hold him responsible for it. So I think it's going to be a really interesting way to approach it. All right, what's next?
Jason Bronson says, enjoyed the Superman trailer, but am a little concerned with the introduction of all the additional characters. Feels more like a Justice League trailer than a Superman trailer.
Again, every movie you watch has a bunch of secondary characters. Every movie you watch. It's just that you don't know who those second characters are, and you happen to know who these secondary characters are, but they are secondary characters. This isn't an introduction. This isn't a Guy Gardner origin story. It's not a Hawk Girl origin story. It's not a Mr. Terrific origin story. They are as much background characters as any movie you watch. When you go down the IMDb page, there's going to be supporting background characters. Again, my best comparison is like you're watching an Axel Foley Beverly Hills Cop movie and go, see a bunch of cops in the trailer and go, I don't know if we should have all these other police officers in there. They're background secondary characters. Every movie has them. And I wouldn't worry about that. Listen, I don't think Guy Gardner's going to have more than 12 minutes of screen time. I don't think Hawk Girl's going to have more than 12 minutes of screen time. This is definitively going to be his movie. And I don't think there's anything to worry about. Now, there could be other problems with the movie, but I don't think that's going to be one of them. All right, what's next?
Matan says, if you want to talk about job security, Tom Rothman. He made so many bad decisions regarding tentpoles at both Sony and Fox. It made me wonder why he still has a job in his current job instead of having a great deal or a deal with A24. He is way better with small films.
Here's the thing, though. When it comes to the big studio guys, like everybody will focus on the big misses, and they'll never mention a litany of big wins. A good example of that is like the Sony Spider-Verse thing. Like I remember, I still get emails from people who are shocked when we did the math a few shows ago, but the Sony Spider-Verse, yeah, it's profitable. It makes money. We did the math on the show. We broke down everything from Venom 1, 2, and 3, Madam Web, Morbius, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. And in this Sony Spider-Verse, when you add up all the money they've made versus the money, the movies that lost money, they're almost $1 billion in the black. They are really profitable, even though it doesn't feel that way. And so I get it, but you know, and by the way, some filmmakers are just better with bigger films and some filmmakers are better with smaller films. All right, what's next?
We got Dildar the Glorious. I didn't cry watching the trailer, but I almost did. It's everything and more of what I expected from the trailer. Using the Williams gave me chills. I want it to be July now.
Yeah.
And also seeing people angry over crypto is pathetic. Shows they don't read comics.
Well, no, listen.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, let me push back on that a little bit. There's a lot of things in the comics that would be stupid if you brought them to the screen. Okay, let's just call it what it is. There's a lot of things in comics. It's just because it's in the comics, that doesn't mean it's a good idea to bring it to the screen. And I originally felt that way about crypto. I admit it. I did not like the idea of them using crypto in the movie. I thought that was just going a little bit too far. And the trailers changed my mind. Now, if it didn't change other people's minds, I think that's fair. But yeah, just because it's in the comic, and it is pretty comic accurate, but just because it's in the comic doesn't mean that means it's a good idea to bring it into a movie. But for me, the trailer changed my mind, but it's not going to change the mind of everybody.
And I appreciate James Gunn's take on this, bringing in characters that we're not normally used to.
Yeah, and he did that with Suicide Squad, and he's doing that in
that's what I'm excited about.
It would not have been on my bingo card when they first announced James Gunn was doing a Superman movie that he was going to have a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Would not have been up, but then again, I wouldn't have had it that he was going to do Polka Dot Man and Suicide Squad either. All right, what's next?
Jai says, I can't remember what point my last tip link ended on, so I'll just say, I love this teaser, but I have been burned before. Superman is my favorite character, and recent adaptations have often disappointed. I'm confident in Gunn, but I'll manage expectations.
It is important for any trailer, regardless how much you like the trailer or dislike the trailer, to always, and that's why I harp on this all the time. Trailer's the trailer, the movie's the movie. And it's important to keep that in mind, that if the trailer, you didn't like the trailer, that doesn't mean you're not going to love the movie. If you love the trailer, that doesn't mean you're going to like the movie either. And it's important to keep that in mind and keep it in check that, hey, I love this trailer. I do. Has it increased my excitement for the movie? Absolutely. But I'm still keenly aware and cognizant of the fact that the movie might not live up to the trailer, right? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But we just always got to keep that in mind. All right, what's next?
Forbidden says, I'm confused whether Suicide Squad is a successful franchise or not. Uneven first two films, yet has all these spin-offs all at the same time, like Peacemaker and Creature Commandos, etc.
I mean, look, the first movie, listen, I'm a defender of the first Suicide Squad movie. Is it a hot, bloody mess of a film? Yes. But I was still entertained. I have to admit I was. Do I think the movie is great? No, but I was entertained by it. The James Gunn Suicide Squad, I loved. Like, I think it's a wonderful film. But it came out in the pandemic. It also came out when Warner Brothers was putting all their movies on Max and in theaters on the same day. So they kind of undermined the movie and all that kind of stuff. And that all resulted in it not making much money. Not to mention you had a lot of characters in there people didn't recognize and all kinds. But the movie is great.
But too bad he ruined it by killing Rick Flag.
Well, that was the first. Oh, no, that was the second one. You're right. That was the best part about it. Finally, somebody gave that Rick Flag what he had coming to him.
The Blade, you could say. So we did see Blade in the movies.
But, and then Peacemaker, I thought listen, straight up, I thought making Peacemaker as a TV show was a stupid idea. And it's one of my favorite things they've ever done. So, you know what? James Gunn is just the type of guy who he seems to be like, his first thought is not ever, what will be the most successful? His first thought always seems to be, what will make the coolest story? What would be the most interesting thing to do? And then he goes in that direction instead and believes that if you do that enough, the money will follow. The popularity of Peacemaker is a testament to that. So we'll see how this one turns out. All right, what's next?
Benny says, John, I was excited for Superman, but had no idea how excited until the trailer dropped. The music alone literally had me in tears, and I'm a 38-year-old man. Reminded me of my childhood. So stoked now. Great trailer, in my opinion.
And I honestly think that the vast majority, not everybody, but I honestly think the vast majority of average film goers probably had the same reaction you did. I think the average film goer who doesn't have a bone to pick with Snyder versus non-Snyder and all this kind of stuff, most people don't give a shit about that stuff that we all cry about. I think most people are just going to sit down and look at this trailer and go, wow. I think there's going to be a lot of people that if they do play this trailer at Sonic 3 this afternoon, I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't even know a new Superman movie is coming because they're an average moviegoer. They didn't get up at 6 a.m. this morning to watch the new trailer. They're going to see this trailer and go, wow, that's really good. I think that, honestly, that's going to be the reaction of most people. All right, what's next?
Dante says, sup, crew. I know it's just a trailer, but holy crap, if the trailer is any indication of how great the movie could be, then Marvel may finally have some sort of competition in the future. After watching the trailer, I couldn't help but... let's see. And then I can't find it. I don't know if it ever went through.
All right. Well, anyway, we'll address that. You are right. If the trailer, and that is, as you said, a big if, is actually a reflection of the type of quality we could get out of the movie, we could be in for something really great. Listen, James Gunn and Kevin Feige are very tight. James Gunn worked with Kevin Feige. Before all the nonsense happened with like 15-year-old tweets and all that kind of stuff, right. Remember, Kevin Feige had positioned James Gunn to kind of be the sub-overlord of the galactic level of the MCU, right? So, again, I don't think James Gunn has made a bad movie yet as a director. We'll see how he turns out as a company CEO, as the head of a studio. But, I mean, I believe they have the potential to really make this a fair fight now. But listen, nobody cheers for Marvel more than James Gunn does, and nobody's cheering for James Gunn more than Kevin Feige is. Kevin Feige's on record. He really believes that having a thriving, vibrant, high-quality comic book genre, whether it's DC or Marvel, is good for everybody. So he wants DC movies to be great. But I think for us as fans, we might have the potential that we could actually see and be in a movie world where Marvel and DC films are roughly equivalently as good. Something we haven't had yet. So we could be on the cusp of that. Maybe. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Luca Vercetti says, do you think the toxic Snyder fan community could ruin this movie for the rest of us?
No.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of the toxicity online. almost seems like they don't even like Superman. They just like Snyder stuff. They just like to
First
hate
of all,
themselves.
Let me also be very clear in case there's any confusion here. There are a lot of Snyder fans who are not like that. People who are Snyder fans do not like the toxic Snyder bros. They would like you to think that all Snyder fans are under their umbrella. They're not. There's a lot of Snyder fans out there who are totally open to a new universe. I am a big Zack Snyder fan. I mean, granted, I hated his latest Netflix films. What were they called again?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moons. They were
Rebel
terrible.
Moon.
But other than those, I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. And I love Man of Steel. Henry Cavill's my guy. It's my favorite Superman movie of all time. But the majority of Zack Snyder fans, I think, are more like me. We're like, hey, we loved that. But we're looking forward to seeing what comes next, too. Nobody listens to the toxic Snyder bros other than their fellow toxic Snyder bros.
Yeah.
That's
the echo chamber.
The average film goer doesn't hear them, doesn't listen to them, doesn't go into their little echo chambers and hears them. So no, they'll try their best to ruin it for everybody else, but they won't be able to. The only thing that can ruin this movie is if the movie's not good.
Right.
And that's always a possibility. So we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
I recommend the Canceled Movie Report podcast. Each week they get actors to read the scripts of movies that were canceled. Aronofsky's Working Class Batman script and the Green Arrow's Supermax script episodes were fascinating to me. Yes, happy Superman Day.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
but
sounds
that
cool.
actually sounds really cool.
That sounds actually.
I might have to check that out. Thanks for putting it
Yeah.
on the radar. All right, what's next?
Mega Red, two-parter, says, John, I've been following you since Superman was announced in 22, and now we're here. I was very impressed by the trailer. I love seeing Crypto. The colors look amazing, and the CGI looks not rushed. A rarity for comic book movies nowadays. Especially love the shot of Holt with the revolver. It was very stylized looking. It was giving retro comic vibes. I always thought the MCU films lacked strong, distinct styles among the sub-franchises, and Superman delivered that big. I actually think they did have strong sub-styles.
I do too. I don't know that I agree with you on that, but again, it's going into this trailer. I said this is the first trailer. It's meant to just give us the feel of it, the DNA of it. And you're right, the stylization, the color richness, all that kind of stuff. I think they delivered that. And again, it's just the trailer, but I think the trailer delivered a very satisfying package that I think the vast majority of the people on the globe are going to be really, really happy with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Mega Red says, going to Sonic 3 tonight. Haven't seen 1 or 2, but trailer looks dope. So gonna take an edible and enjoy the cool visuals. I'm sure I'll be able to keep up, but anything vital I should know prior to watching, or at least actors' names?
No.
No.
Look,
have fun,
this isn't Shakespeare. This is
Just have
Sonic.
fun.
Hey, listen, by the way, do yourself a favor. Go and watch Sonic 1 and 2. They're delightful.
I like
They're
one
really fun.
I like 1 more than 2, but I like 2 a lot too.
Yeah, I'm
as well.
with you. I liked 1 more, but 2 is great.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to have watched any of them to go in. I think there are going to be nuances you don't get
Yes.
because you didn't see. But I think you'll be fine walking into part 3 by itself. But honestly, do yourself a favor. Go back and watch Sonic 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They're really fun. All right, what's next?
Forbidden says Superman is disguised as Bad Bunny. Oh, because the hair.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right,
You're,
what's
you're
next?
right.
Seth Castro says, Game Day, new Superman trailer came out. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I gotta admit, I kind of love how they show Lois and Superman together. I feel like everyone knows that they always get together, so I'm glad they didn't hide it. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, again, my theory is that the movie starts with her already knowing it, right? What I don't want to see, because I famously don't really like romances in my comic book movies. A couple of very few exceptions to that. Druig and Makari, Tony and Pepper, but mostly I like romances to stay out of my comic book movies. What I didn't want this movie to be about was how slowly but surely Lois and Clark fall in love. I didn't want that. I don't want that to be in this movie. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. But I think they're going to start off where she already knows who he is and we can jump all those steps. At least I hope they do. All right, what's next?
I Am Justice touches on something I've been meaning to bring up too. To the people who dislike the new Superman suit, remember this: suits can always be upgraded. You only get one shot at a great script. That is more important. This will either make or break the DCU. And
It's
in
a good point.
other movies, he may have a different suit.
Yeah, listen, most comic book movies, When the sequel comes around, the suits, the costumes are usually a little bit different.
Yeah.
They're normally changing them a little bit. Look, I hate the red underwear, right? But it will make no difference on like the red underwear being there or not being there is not going to make the movie 1 ounce better or worse. It's just again, I always go back to this. What was the CW show again? Black Lightning. Was that the name of it?
Yes.
Okay. I love that show. I love it.
Yeah.
It is the stupidest, ugliest costume I have ever seen in a superhero thing. But that didn't make any difference in the world because the show was great. And I really loved watching it. Even though so I don't care. I really don't care. The underwear's there. I hate it. If I had a vote, I'd say get rid of it. But it doesn't, if the movie's good, it's not going to make it one bit less good. If the movie's bad, if the underwear wasn't there, it wouldn't make it one bit better. It's just the costume. So who cares? Anyway. All right. What's next?
Mega Red says, my theory is the kaiju big glowy thing and maybe even Metamorpho are all secretly created by Luthor, designed to kill Superman, with the big, strong, dark guy or suit guy being his ultimate creation. An old school story modernized for modern times.
I wouldn't doubt it if somehow Lex had something to do with the kaiju being in the city to try to set up Superman to fail. I don't know if he did it to kill Superman or just knowing that this is going to cause a lot of damage, and I'll use my media empire to make it to blame Superman and to make Superman look like he's the like we should blame Superman. So I mean, it'll be one of those things somehow, some way. To which degree I don't know, but Luthor will probably be involved with it. All right, what's next?
Cleveland is Mr. I says Cleveland is highlighted nicely in the trailer. Superman
in the baseball stadium.
Superman fighting Ultraman in Progressive Field, the Ontario Bridge, where the building is falling over. Him and Lois floating inside the West Side Market. The Leader building used as the Daily Planet.
Well, I don't know the building, but I definitely recognize the baseball stadium when they're in there.
At first, that scene where they're flying up at the end and they're inside that building,
yeah,
I thought that was the same building in downtown LA where they shot Blade Runner, but it's not.
Oh,
it's in Cleveland, I think.
Yeah, they shot the Cleveland is going to be the background for Metropolis in this one, which is a really interesting choice. But yeah, you did recognize a lot of those things right away. All right, what's next?
Monkey Tongue says, I myself am not a huge fan of the Superman trailer. My issue 100% and the other heroes. I just want this about Superman. I don't want to repeat of stuff like BVS and Justice where I come out, what was this even about? There are too many different plots. You're in good hands with James Gunn because he interweaves plots like a master.
Okay, so again, let me bring this up. Okay, let's say okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring up Top Gun Maverick.
Don't do it.
All right. Did we watch the trailer for Top Gun Maverick and go, why are all these other pilots? Why are, like, in the trailer, why, like, there's like 6 different pilots. Why do we have all these pilots? This is supposed to be about Maverick. Well, it is about Maverick. But in Maverick's world, there are going to be other pilots, secondary characters to help tell the story. But at no time, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit about Goose's son too, but I mean, it's a Maverick story.
Shout out,
Even
Bob.
though you had all these other characters, you had all, including Bob, the Sentry, you had all these other pilots, right? But it never took away from the fact that it is. Every movie has this. Every movie has these secondary characters.
This was like
in this movie, Superman lives in a world where other heroes already exist. To see them doesn't mean it takes away from him. Every movie will have secondary characters. Just like the pilots in Top Gun Maverick didn't take it away from being Maverick's movie. Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl being in this world doesn't take away from it being Superman's movie. Again, I still have several worries about the movie, but that is not one of them.
This was more like a sizzle reel, like first look, than like an actual trailer, because there really was no idea of what the story is going to be.
Or any dialogue. The only dialogue, literally the only dialogue in the movie is home, take me home, and Superman. That's it. That's all the dialogue in it. And again, every single, you could name any movie. Like I was like, wait a minute, Sonic's coming out. What why is James Marsden back there? This is supposed to be a Sonic movie because James Marsden is a supporting character in it. Doesn't take away from the fact that it's a Sonic movie. Anyway, all right, what's next?
The Dumb of All Fears says, for me, at least, I think this trailer has done a great job of bringing back that hopeful image of Superman to audiences. Might the next trailer focus on conveying to audiences that they are bringing back a sense of joy, fun, and wonder that's been missing?
Maybe. I mean, I think there was some fun in this trailer too. Like, look, Crypto coming through the snow and taking Superman home. Tell me that doesn't elicit joy.
Come on.
I mean, so look, but you want to make sure this is still an action film too. This is still a comic book movie. So you do want to have elements of joy and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, you don't want it to just be all that. You want there to be stakes. You want them to be danger. It's great that they threw in that shot of the kaiju foot coming down and Superman got to protect that girl, or fighting this kaiju blowing fire out, and Superman takes all the fire blast and everything. So you've got to have stakes. You got to have darkness. You got to have, but in proportion. And balance that out with the joy and the hope and the optimism. It's not about having one or the other. It's about having the right balance of the two. And I think they're going to accomplish that. At least the trailer made me think they will. All right, what's next?
All right, final 9. BMC, how do you think Crypto arrives on Earth in the ship with Baby Clark? My theory is that Supergirl brings him to Earth.
There are different origins. Actually, in the comics themselves, Crypto has several different origin stories. There's an origin story where he was literally put in the ship with Clark and came to Earth with Clark. There's an origin story in the comic books where Crypto was actually put in a test ship first, like an experiment, and fired out into space. But because of the way everything works, Clark was later launched and got to Earth before Crypto did. And then later on in Clark's life, Crypto arrived on Earth. Then there was origin stories where Crypto was like from a pocket dimension, and then so Crypto's had a lot of different origin stories in the comics. I think the one that makes most sense to me is that he comes in the ship with Clark. It's either that one. I don't think Kara brings him, although they might. But I think it's the one where he's been there with Clark his whole time. That's my guess. But again, I could be wrong. It's just a guess, though. All right, what's next?
I wanted to love the Superman trailer, but I have to admit my excitement was diminished by the CG Crypto close-ups. It took me out of the moment. I wish James Gunn and others would stop with the CG dogs. They couldn't get a real dog to pull a cape. Well, that's kind of hard.
You can't, listen, as somebody who has known, lived with, trained dogs my whole life, no, you can't get you can't get a real dog to do what they need Crypto to do in this movie.
Drag a man through the snow?
And I mean, you can train a dog to pull somebody through the snow.
But like effortlessly, like he's super powered?
And I'm sorry, nothing looks wrong with this shot.
Yeah.
That looks like a real dog.
If they're talking about the dog from like Guardians, well, that dog talks with a Russian accent. It has to be animated to a bit, you know, I mean.
I thought, but listen, that's the great thing. Like, to you, it didn't quite sit right with you. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to apologize for it. If it didn't, listen, you don't choose whether it works for you or not. It either does. It's like when you put a piece of food in your mouth, you don't choose whether you like it. You either like it or you don't. And if you watch this and it didn't work for you, I don't think you're alone. I think there are going to be other people who you legitimately sat down to give the trailer a fair shot and it just didn't work for you. For whatever reason, maybe you didn't think the dog looked good. I do think the dog looked good, but that's just me. But it didn't for you. Nothing wrong with that. But also I would say this. Remember, this movie is still 7 months away.
Right.
There's still a lot of work they're going to be doing, even on the shots that we've seen in here. So again, I still think they look great the way they are, but will probably look a little bit different once we get to the final version on the big screen. Hey, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, man. Thanks for that.
Kane says Eagly and Crypto solo movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Cody says, I love that they filmed the movie in the city Superman was created. Cleveland is definitely glowing in the trailer.
I also want to remind everybody that Superman was created by a Canadian. Just throwing that out there. Just want to make sure everybody remembers that. All right, what's next?
GQ of those people. Hey, John, loyal viewer of yours since AMC days. Did you see the Batman Beyond fan film by Loomis Entertainment on YouTube? Apparently has gotten positive responses online. What's the likelihood of this helping a feature film be made down the line?
Zero. Fan films never help get a feature film made.
It would have to be huge. I mean,
Now I say this as somebody who hasn't watched it, and I don't care about it, so I'm probably not going to watch it. But
Yeah,
it has
see?
zero chance. And not to say that the fan film isn't great. I'm sure there's a lot of fan films that are really good. Maybe it is great, but zero chance of moving the needle at all as to whether or not. It's either going to happen or it won't. A fan film or a lack thereof isn't going to influence it one way or the other. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I found it just a bit strange that James Gunn didn't release the trailer at the end of Creature Commandos. Wouldn't that have made sense? Hype on both ends.
No, listen, the vast majority of people are not watching Creature Commandos. That's not to say Creature Commandos isn't good, but the majority, like, it's a fraction of a percentage of the people who are watching Creature Commandos that are going to be moviegoers and going to go see the movie to see this. It would have made no sense to do it. So I just think they should have waited till the Super Bowl. That's it. I just thought they should have waited till the Super Bowl to release the trailer, but it's a great trailer. I'm glad we have it now. All right, what's next?
Ear Pimple says that photo you brought up with you, Chris, James, and Feige made me realize how big Chris Pratt is. Dude's listed at 6'2", but standing next to you, he looks like he's 6'4". Also, that 7'1" giant in Reacher, I think I pooped.
Yeah, Chris is not 6'2".
Yeah, he's taller than that.
Yeah, like Chris is simply not 6'2".
Now, Chris always wears high heels, though. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah,
about him.
people always get it. He's wearing them heels. There's no way I'd be able to find the picture in time, so I'm not even going to bother with it. But yeah, Chris Pratt is. You know what? I'm just curious. If I type in his name, if this thing will be able to find it. I don't think so. No. Anyway, yeah, Chris is not 6'2". He's a little bit bigger than that because he's a big guy. He's not 6'6", but he's a tall dude, man. All right, what's next?
Aaron says, just saw the Death of a Unicorn trailer from A24, and it looked like a fun horror comedy, especially with Rudd and Ortega. Have you all seen the trailer, and what did you all think? Oh, look at yesterday's episode.
You didn't watch yesterday's show. Yeah, we talked extensively about that trailer. I think that trailer looks great. I think the movie looks fun. I think the cast looks fantastic. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega as a father and daughter. I think they're going to have great chemistry together. Again, if you haven't seen the trailer for Death of a Unicorn, check it out. I think this is going to be a really fun movie. All right, what's next?
Hank Pym, instead of losing money on bigger movies like Craven and Morbius, why doesn't Sony make some cheap movies like a $5 million Aunt May, Uncle Ben rom-com, or a $20 million lizard body horror movie? Half joking, but it would be that bad of an idea. I guess it could keep the license going.
It's listen, there's a saying that I quoted before. It's in home buying. The wrong house at the right price is still the wrong house. The wrong movie, even at a super low budget, is still the wrong movie, right? You still got to make a movie that people are going to be interested in and want to see and all that kind of stuff. And why not make a $5 million this? Well, because still no one's going to go see it, and they're just going to waste time and energy and resources. So that's probably why. Look, one of the great things about Sony, the reason they've been able to be profitable, even with movies like Madam Web losing money and movies like Morbius losing money, overall, they're still very profitable with their Spider-Verse movies, is because they've kept the budgets relatively reasonable. And, but, they don't want to get into making these $5 or $10 million ones because those just wouldn't interest anybody. All right, what's next?
We got our final one here. Anonymous says, hey guys, I was thinking about the Superman trailer, and one of the many things I love is the whole 70s vibe they have going on, from the costumes to the music choice. Actually, it's more like 80s rock.
Yeah, the music was more 80s, early 90s rock. I didn't catch a 70s vibe at all from the styling.
Well, I mean, the Daily Planet building, but the building's probably been there for decades.
Yeah, it's a classic older building. Yeah. But the fashion that people were wearing, the costumes, I didn't personally pick up on that myself. But
no, I didn't either.
Maybe if I watch it again, maybe that'll stand out to me a little
I'll have to look at that.
And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget, keep your eyes open a little bit later today. I'll be doing an out of the theater reaction for both Sonic 3 and Mufasa.
Nice.
So keep your eyes open for that. And don't forget to come on back and join us again for tomorrow's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you then. That'll do it for us, guys. So for Ray Ora,
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys.
my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.